Good evening, Mr. Bungler.
Howdy. Oh,
How you doing?
I'm wonderful. How are
Good.
you?
I'm good. I've got a hair on my lip. Always. As soon as I sit down, a fuzz comes barreling through here and attaches itself to me.
You got an
But
evil spider after you or something.
no, but we've got flies. I've got flies everywhere. I don't know.
Why don't you take their wings and make them walks?
Make them waltz.
Walks, because they can't.
Oh, fly.
Yeah, sorry. It's gonna be one of those kind of nights, I think.
That's okay. And I know, hey, let me just say, I know there's a lot of people watching other stuff tonight, but if you're on the replay crew, just hit the like button and comment replay crew. That'd be great. So I know.
Yeah, never underestimate VOD boys or girls. Dating, dude. I tell you, man. I don't think I've ever watched anything live. Even like, especially live content. I always watch later because then I can like, oh, that was funny. I'm gonna watch that again or whatever. So.
It depends. I don't watch a whole lot of lives. I watch some, and it depends if I want to be in the chat. If there is a reason for me to be in the chat, I watch it live. Otherwise, I catch it on the replay too because I'm usually busy. Let us both say hello. And you should be able to see if you can control this. See if you can pop up a message.
Pop up a... Oh,
yeah, just a comment. Just highlight a comment. I've given him power on this channel.
How do I do it? What do I do?
You hover over... You see the chat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you just like hover over it and click. Hello, Pam Frenchman. She's here to get her brain tickled. Are you ready to get it bungled? Okay, can you do it?
So that doesn't work, but I can still present. But I can't. But that's okay. I'll probably not see as much chat today because
I don't know what that means. I don't know if I can change the settings. Let's
Who
see.
was Pam? Pam Frenchman said, "Do you have a dead body somewhere?" Oh, I bet it was because of the flies.
Oh. No, I don't think so. I would smell it. Hello, Aquarius. I thought you were going to be able to highlight. I must have a setting wrong. Buckeye. Whoop, whoop. Four Pits. Hey, Four Pits. Yeah, you do watch a lot of lives. You do. I don't as much, but I do watch. I just... Canadian... Okay, let me see. How do I say this? Canadian Nanaka. Nanaka? Is that right?
Nanaka.
Nanaka.
I have no idea.
Nanaka. Maybe it's Nanaka. Is that like grandmother?
I just keep reading banana, but that's not right.
No, that's not
like
right.
Assuredly
Nana.
not right.
Nana.
Hey.
Nana.
Nana.
Canadian
oh,
Nana.
It's Nana.
It's Nana.
CA.
Nanaka. 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 Nanaka.
So, no, it's Canadian Nana. CA.
Canadian Nana.
At the
CA.
end for Canada.
Okay.
Probably.
Probably.
Hey, am I loud enough?
Yeah.
Can you all tell me if I'm loud enough? Because I should be, but I don't know.
Yeah, because usually when we do this, I'm really loud and he is not. So somebody put in the chat. Brain's got it. Okay.
Nailed it.
Tell us what the... okay. That's why he's the brain bungler.
I'm here to do my job.
Yeah. But please let us know if we're equal or if somebody else needs to come up or down because it sounds okay in my ears, but then, later on something happened. Good sound, Pam says. Okay. So, I told y'all when I made the announcement earlier today, I don't even know what the subject is. So, Brain is hosting tonight because I got nothing but some dirty feet because I just went outside.
Yeah. So I didn't know that I was like technically like hosting. Typically, she'll bring up a topic or something, and then we'll talk about that topic for like 30 seconds, and then for the next 2 hours, we'll talk about anything but what we started with. But she asked me if I could find a topic, and I was like, probably not. And then this morning at like 3 a.m., I sat down and I was like, okay, I'm going to find a topic. And I remembered a couple of things that I had heard some rumors about. And so until this exact moment, I've just been sitting here like frantically researching everything that I saw, and I'm not even close to done. And I was hoping to have like a cool, like it would all come together, like a conclusion or a point even. But instead, I have a lot of interesting information.
Okay.
That I think is interesting, at least. And
am I going to be bungled?
So this today isn't so much, well, I mean, kind of, actually, and maybe sometimes. It's not so much about bungling as it is about, like, opening the mind, the third eye, expanding the domain of the brain, or whatever. So,
I don't need another eyeball.
This one, it sees like UV rays and stuff. If you go outside, it'll get a sunburn or something.
By the way, Carol is in chat, and Carol Bungle is who I was telling you about before.
Hey,
Carol and I are working on, I'm waiting for like some stuff from her where it's going to be maybe I think she said 2 weeks, something like that before look, I can't tell you a whole lot, but it's going to be fire. It's going to be fire. And so, yeah, I can't wait. And, I'm bound to tick off somebody, but that's the way it is.
Ain't that always the case, though? Ain't that just how it goes?
Hey, big fish. Oh, they're liking where this is going already. All right, bungle me, brain.
All right. So with no introduction, I'm going to talk about. No, I don't know. I didn't even think of it. I could have written an intro. Instead, I'm just going to start yapping. So I don't know if any of you guys have heard of Göbekli Tepe or Tepe. It is a place.
I can't even say Nana CA. So,
That's fair. It is a place that I did not write down the exact location of. It is somewhere where the what do they call it? The Fertile Crescent, like pre-pottery era. So right after the Ice Age, it was before writing. It was actually 6,000 years before writing was invented. And
are we
it was
talking
also
about a place, a culture? What is this?
All right. So Göbekli, which I say wrong all the time. I'm going to just mispronounce it all night on purpose because it's easier. I'm going to say Göbekli, but it's Göbekli with a Ekli, which is so much harder. So I'm going to say Göbekli Tepe.
Okay.
It was one of what seemed to be several not civilizations really, but like there were groups of people before agriculture was invented, before pottery, which is very important because that's how you put things and stuff.
Yeah, because the water falls right through your fingers if you don't have any pottery. Like it's just like you drink as fast as you can, and it's not very efficient.
Dude, you need you gotta get like a long straw, and then like a big long straw, and then suck, and then you drink, and then everything else you have to hold the suck. When you do at a restaurant and you're bored, you're waiting for your food, and you put your finger on top of the straw. Pull it up, so that you put your face, and then you just carry the thing back to the village, and but I guess you would need pottery to make the cylinder. Anyway,
yes.
There's just a lot of stuff that I don't understand, and I wanted to understand it before I started talking, but instead I'm going to start talking and not know what I'm talking about. So,
hey, I do it all the time.
Don't we all?
Yes.
We all? Isn't that the basic human condition? So it was this group of people, and
The Doblekians.
Yeah, sure.
So Blecky and Tepians.
Go Becklians. Go Bleckians. Actually, let me pull up.
Yes,
I'm
please show us. Do you have a picture? Did they have like,
I have
OnlyFans or
almost.
something back then?
Oh, brother, I have almost nothing but pictures. Unfortunately, they are not organized at all. I can't. Oh, I don't have any.
Okay, wait a second. Do I need to add this thing down here to the stage?
So this is just the screen that I'm looking at right now. I don't have these closed. These are all images that I have. I haven't closed these yet because I can't.
Oh my Lord, that is a lot of stuff.
So I was gonna do a different way of showing all this, but so okay. So this is Gobekli Tepe from above. So the first thing about this place here, I'll do this.
Okay.
So the first thing that I think is interesting about this is that in this era, which I was gonna actually just pull up a Google Earth image, which I had earlier, but I've had so many things. I actually have 31 tabs open right now.
That's like my brain at any given time, and I can't access any of them. It's just like, I know it's here somewhere.
Brother, I'm trying to like have different windows for different subjects. But okay, so this is okay. So look at this area right here. It's just a hill.
Where is this? What country is this in?
That's a good question. I think it's Turkey. Around that area. So this is it, right? And so this place, first of all, okay, so it was right after the last ice age. They say that it was a group of hunter-gatherers that were chasing migratory gazelle, and they just set up shop or something. So the thing about this place, which now that because these images here, I just wanted you to see like what it looks like. It's just a hill out in the middle of nowhere. The closest, so okay, they don't have
Walmart.
No Walmart. They don't even have a CVS, which is like in a pinch, They don't. But so okay, I'll give it this. At the end of the Ice Age, this whole area was a lot more fertile. Right now, it's desert because of reasons, global warming, and so. This was all green, that's fair, but there wasn't any water. The closest water that they had was 2 miles away, which they had no way to transport because they didn't have bowls or whatever. And the only water, which there's so many images I wish I had. It was like what they would do is, it was down one of these slopes. What they would do is they somehow, either there was natural formations or there would be holes that would catch rain runoff. And it was a lot more wet back then too. But 2 miles away, there was a hole in the ground that caught rain. And these archaeologists are like, yeah, that's where they got their water. Okay, here's the thing though. So a group of hunter-gatherers that no agriculture, no farming, no bowls, no way to store food or anything. They just they take what was the number? They take something like, it was hundreds of ranging from 20 to 80 ton stones, and just start like rolling them up this hill or whatever. I have other images of this place too.
How?
So there's theories, like, so everyone's like, oh, most people are like, oh, it was either aliens or it was, crazy machinery or something. This image is kind of boring. But so, okay, first of all, I don't know if you can tell. Let me do something right quick. I don't know if you can see this, and you'll see this more in a second. They were really good at etchings. But they only drew pictures of wild animals. Things like gazelle and fox and turtles. Nothing like cows or any other domesticated animal.
It's because they weren't domesticated yet.
Well, exactly. And the other thing they would do is they would take these very, 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 very heavy stone structures and make these T shapes out of them. Now, I'll show you one more from the inside. This is what these look like when they're all. Why am I? There we go. This is kind of what they look like. They've been cleaned up and all that. But they made a lot of structures that were supposed to represent humans with no heads. And when asked why they made these structures, which these look like they have heads, these are not them, those. It was basic triliths, right? Like Stonehenge, like, two things and a whatever. When asked why these things don't have heads, the archaeologists just said they didn't want to, but we don't know why. That's it. That's the whole explanation. Now, the thing is that this place...
They said, why don't you make heads? And they're like, I don't know. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so everyone's like, okay, they made these monolithic structures. And by the way, these things are massive. I mean, they're absolutely huge. And so, again, I'm going to rephrase. I want to be clear, okay? They would hunt animals to survive. Pre-agriculture, there was no nutrient. Like, you could not grow a civilization because you could only feed one child at a time with breast milk, essentially. So before agriculture, there was no way to even, just a group of folks settle down with no water and no food and no amenities before riding, before the wheel, before pottery, settled on the top of a hill and then just started taking, there are 16 complexes or
why would they
rooms.
settle there if they don't have water and they don't I don't understand. And let me just say this in the comments, two people have said when we're talking about how did they get this, stuff up there and whatever. I have two people say that levitation and energy.
I mean, I also want to clarify why Göbekli Tepe is like such a big deal. This was 12,000 BC, which is way, way, way sooner than like any records of almost anything that we have. Like this reshaped our understanding of the historical timeline. And in the Fertile Crescent, there were so many different, because there were several other places. I think nearby, within 50 miles, there were 4 other quote unquote civilizations. But the thing is, for one, those civilizations would build residential areas and then have their religious, whatever, workshop areas separate, okay? Göbekli Tepe didn't have any of that. They didn't have food. They didn't have water. They didn't have a family. They didn't have a place to live. They just started rolling these stones and carving them up and all this stuff, and you can look at them and be like, oh, they knew what these stones meant. Okay. But so here's the thing, right? They so at first they were building massive chambers. There's several other photos I can probably find. We can actually get a sense of the scale.
Okay, I'm sorry. Your sister was messaging me. Why are they so important? What did these people do?
They existed way sooner than they should have. A lot sooner.
Oh, okay. Because 12,000. 12,000 BC.
Yeah. Wait. There we go. There's the one I was looking for. So at first they were building these massive chambers and doing this. And then the researchers are like, well, they didn't have somewhere to live. So they probably just lived in these areas that they were, using for rituals or whatever. Cause there were lots of skulls just around. And in that whole area, there was a skull cult. And they would paint skulls and stuff. I don't know, but they would build all of this and then they were done with it, and then they were like, we need to commemorate more stories. And so they would live in these rooms, apparently, and then they would push forward and develop further complexes for these things. And not only does that not make any sense at all, like even slightly, but like, but why? Because there were civilizations nearby that did have amenities. There are signs that nearby civilizations actually did have access to agriculture, and that they could have actually started a civilization or whatever. But so anyway, this is 12,000 BC. Again, I just wanted, so the biggest reason I bring this up is because I wanted to kind of bring like a frame of mind for like what time era frame this is. They don't have anything. Now they were able, again, you know, I saw a video of this one dude who was like able to take like this like 50-ton like stone, and he put a pebble under it, right? He puts a pebble under it, and then he can like spin it freely. And so he's like, okay, if I put a pebble under one corner and then I put one under the side, I can like twist it, and then I can do it again and I can twist it, you know. But I'm like,
yeah.
But he was doing it. First of all, he was doing it on perfectly flat paved concrete. And then I'm also thinking like, okay, how did they get it uphill? You know, like, you know, everyone's like, okay, yeah, moving it horizontally, that's fine. But how do you move it up an incline like this? You know, like the dude, and this isn't even like the biggest deal. So they were making these monoliths. No one knows why. The biggest reason it's the
headless monoliths.
Yeah,
headless monoliths.
Yeah,
I think they just could not get the face right. They probably try. You know how like when you're drawing something, like one eye is bigger than the other. It's like it takes a lot of practice and skill to do a face. You know, because it's like, I think they just like, you know what, we ain't got time for this. Look, we got to go, hunt a gazelle. Like, let's just make them headless. Make it easier. That's my theory.
So the thing is, though, is that, which, I mean, fair, but they very, very clearly had the talent, which you can't really tell from this image. And actually, none of the images that I've prepared are the right ones. But this is just one small example, but for some reason, their ability to carve etchings artistically was like phenomenal. Like they absolutely
really nice.
had the ability to make a human face, because it's just two holes and then another hole and then like a point. You know, like it's pretty simple. And they just chose. They were like, no, I don't want to. And that's, they just say, yeah, we don't know why. They just didn't want to. So that was that time period. I also had some other unrelated. So there was another place that was located nearby that they're recently. Wait, let's see here. You probably can't tell from this image either. This was like 20 miles nearby. Now this is actually, this hole that we're looking at, this is directly under somebody's house, like in this area. Like if you were to pan the camera up, then it's someone's house, which is so weird that they're excavating this.
Well, it's weird that they put this in the bottom, like the basement. Like, we don't make carvings on our basements are pretty dang dull compared to this, I'll just tell you.
Well, so here's the funny thing, is that you can't really tell from this photo, but this area right here, this is actually a bench, which means all of this ornate detail, this would be under your legs if you're sitting down in this area. Yeah, okay. So you're just sitting here, and then all this this carving or whatever is under your legs. This image over here, which you can't really tell, I got the best image I could find. This image is an image of a man fighting a bull, and his left hand has 6 fingers, and in his right hand, as a weapon, he's using a snake. He's fighting a bull with a snake. And you can't really tell, but this is the snake, and it's just like, come on, man, why you gotta do this? And the bull is like,
Is that like a panther, like marking his territory or something on him on the other side? What's that about?
So this is which I was gonna play a YouTube video, but I don't know, copyright and all that. So there are these 2 archaeologists who really love that they got this clickbait. So this is a man, and he's being assaulted, and you can see like this is teeth.
Yeah.
Baring their fangs. He's being assaulted by 2 leopards while peeing. I get like he's holding And so, you
Yeah.
know, like,
Yeah,
no one
we
knows.
really
And
don't need
people
it close to that.
like, people think, okay, well, so people think like, okay, you know, like, you know, maybe it's like a story of like, you know, oh, everyone knows how vulnerable you can be. When you gotta go, you gotta go, and it may not be an opportune moment. Like you may be being assaulted by two leopards, but when you gotta go, it's time. So I don't know, like, but it's such
You
a,
will
you
use
know,
a porta potty if you have to go.
dude, I've been in that situation so many times.
Me too,
dog.
and I hate them. Gosh, I hate a porta potty. They're just nasty, but
Oh, here's another
necessary.
image. Here's another close up. Like you can
Look,
see
know what?
the
But
detail.
look at the teeth. The teeth don't look like the teeth look like dentures. You know, they look like human teeth.
So on this one, it does look like he's like whatever, like, but this one literally does look like a grandma leopard who had like because they're so flat, they don't have any points to it, you know.
I know.
But then
that's weird.
But then I look at it, you know, and it's like literally stone. But you know what I think is the most interesting thing about this is that so you can see how far this stone is protruding, right? So they chiseled this man out of the stone, but then they etched these two things on there. So this stone was at least this thick before they, you know, were done with it. And all of that for a thing, it's going to be under your legs, you know? And I don't know, like, again, you know, I don't know if this was like, you know, like if we saw like a girl like in a red robe and a wolf would be like, oh, you know, that's red, you know, Little Red Riding Hood, Robin, right? Wow.
Riding Hood.
I guess we wouldn't know because I can't remember.
Little Red Riding Hood.
Okay, yeah, we all know the story. You know what I mean? This is kind of unrelated in a different location. So another thing is that like all of these guys would always point towards the summer solstice or the winter solstice when they develop these compounds. These are all just mounds. And then Göbekli Tepe, it was 16 rooms, but you would walk around on top and then you would climb a ladder and go underground and live. And they would all point toward the solstice, except for this group. This is Domingo. What is the name called?
I know, I get distracted for a second. These comments, they're killing me over here with these comments. They're so funny. With that one, you'll have to go back and watch it. That one, when you were holding the interesting picture, Shay says, "Hold that thought."
Hold on. Give me get down. Give me a second. Yeah, no, I mean, it's just like, dude, I don't know, man. You know, I think I could pee and run at the same, you know?
Oh, if I'm running from a leopard, I'm peeing. I am peeing. There is no doubt.
Like by default, like automatically?
Yes. I'm not even trying to stop. I am peeing and running.
That's fair. That's fair and valid. I lost one of my notes. Where'd they go? I don't need that yet. What was the name of this place? Domingo. Dang it.
Okay, so why aren't they facing the solstice?
They don't know, actually. And what is interesting is that they are facing Dolmen Domingo. This was the fascinating one. Okay. So the max stone weight, which, I mean, if you're just looking at the screen, you can read it here. I took notes because how am I supposed to remember all of this and then another page and all that? So they had 840 metric tons worth of stones building this place. And you see these big old stones here on the side like this? Well, I'll show you. You see these big old bad boys?
Yeah.
This was an entire complex where they essentially kind of, I guess, dug a trench and then somehow rolled these stones across however many miles of open plains and then dumped them into like a slot. But the problem I have with that is that, like, you do it on one side, how do you do it to the other side? And also, how do you get them to be so near each other without, like, cracking or breaking or anything? So 840 tons of stones. The heaviest of the wall stones was like 80 tons, which I'm not sure if I'm making this clear.
That's like it's kind of like the same thing though as the pyramids, right? Like it's.
Well,
You don't know.
Sort of.
How did they do that?
But sort of, but also not quite. So the pyramid stones weren't anywhere near this heavy. They were very heavy. But these stones, so 1 ton, in case you're unaware, is 1 ton is 2,000 pounds. So when I say something like, one of these stones is 47 tons, what I'm really saying is that it was like a lot, like a lot of weight.
What, 2,000 pounds to a ton? So that would be 47. That would be 94,000
pounds.
That's a lot of pounds.
How often, when's the last time you've ever seen anything of that size transported? 97,000 pounds. Yeah, now we developed efficiency. Now we use 3x5 bricks, which I'll talk a little bit about that in a minute. But yeah, but I guess when you're being assaulted by leopards and other things, you want some thick walls. Who knows? And then of course, this was like post Ice Age, and I guess everyone was like out for each other. Who knows? But so they posted this. So this is a man. This is a very far away mountain of what appears to be a man with his face coming out of the earth. And when I saw it at first, it really freaked me out.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. When I first saw it, it really freaked me out because it looks exactly like that. And that thing would be colossal. And it has, obviously, nose, mouth, chin. It also has like eye divots and all that. It's just crazy, to think that, and just to wake up every day and then walk outside and you're like, oh, hey, Martin, or whoever you would call him. But so anyway, all this was, like I said, all of this was, between 12,000 and 10,000 BC.
Okay.
Now, I think that's everything. Oh, also they had a 190 ton capstone. So, I was like,
gosh.
47 tons is like 90,000 pounds.
Yeah.
Just multiply that by 5 and then put that on your roof. And that's another problem I had with Göbekli Tepe is that they're like, they would just sleep in the rooms with these like 50 ton upright standing stones. Like, no, dude, I'm not sleeping in that room, dude. Like, I fart too loud and I get crushed to death. Like, it's not a thing that I'm going to live my life going through. But
you got me snorting.
I mean, that's fair. Also, this was just a side note. I wanted to look into Stonehenge a little bit. The thing is, it's difficult is that there are so many like anti-alternative archaeology proponents in the world. Like, and what do I mean by that? Like, there's like alternate history people, and the problem. Okay, so there's like 3 groups of people, and this is going to be a theme throughout like everything I talk about. There are 3 groups of people when it comes to like history and archaeology. There are like if I don't understand it, it's just because I don't understand it yet. And I have like this has to make sense, like in a physical sense. Like I have to put the pieces together. If I don't understand it, I just don't have enough pieces yet, right? Like with Göbekli Tepe, they're like, why would hunter-gatherers settle down, build 16 complexes with no water or food or access to either? Well, I don't know, but they did. Okay, so there's those guys, and then there's over on the other side, there's like alternative history folks. And the problem that I have with these guys is that all the big proponents, all the big speakers about it, they all write books. And I don't have a problem with that either. But it's clearly, in a lot of cases, they want to say something ridiculous and then write a book about it. And then they make money almost for free. And so I have a bigger problem with that. And then you have like the third minority who's like, no, this is definitely weird, but no one's listening to me. This guy is like talking about gods and aliens and like metaphysical earth powers, and this guy doesn't believe in like anything. I think he doesn't believe in anything at all. He's it's just like straight faced. And then then the other people are left out and they're in the middle somewhere. They're like, okay, but this is bizarre that anyone would do this. So that brings me to what I really want to talk about. And I really only mentioned all that stuff because I was going to try to find something, because when the Tappy came out, was discovered, it was like so many like speculators, and they're like, how did they do this? Is it like brain powers? Was it lasers? Was it earlier technology? Was it more advanced than our own? Probably not. I don't know. I think, I really love the idea that humans like go in cycles and stuff like that. But I'm also kind of like, if we all go extinct right now, like you and me, there's so much just garbage, like electronic garbage everywhere that like, we would find it, the next civilization, they'd be like, what is this? It's just like a brick. Did they wouldn't know what it was for, like what, because they wouldn't, maybe they wouldn't plug it in, or maybe they wouldn't be able to turn it on. And he'd be like, yeah, it had a glass front, and they was probably like a personal, like, like an identification thing, and they just like hold up the outside, and it kind of let you know who they were or something. I don't know, but there would be stuff, and we don't see any of that stuff, and all these people that are like, it was cut with a circular saw. I'm like, probably not, but however, so 12,000, 10,000 BC. Now,
and see, just like people would misidentify our gadgets and all of the metal crap that we've got, the same thing. We're sitting here, we're looking at 12,000 BC, and they knew exactly what all that stuff was for and why they did, and we're sitting here like, oh, well, I wonder why they did this. They probably actually had a great plan, and we're just like further civilizations are going to be with our stuff. What the crap? Why'd they have these? What'd they do with them?
I really, okay, like, I believe that humans are more than just physical, and a lot of, like, it's difficult to sit and be like, nah, we're just like, Newtonian physics, blood goes in and sometimes it goes out, but not too much or you'll die or whatever. And that's it, and then we die. But like we don't, no one believes that. Like, no, like, it's comforting in a way to think that it's just that simple. But no civilization in the history of the world has ever felt that way. And that doesn't really change with like discovering science and stuff. It's like, you can set it aside, but you still feel that way, like that there's more to you. And it's difficult for me to think, for some reason, that, again, this group would just start building all of this, like, for what? Recreation? Like, are they so bored that they're like, all right, I tell you what, why don't we just take all these massive stones and just drag them up this hill? Yeah, it's like 3 miles or so, and there's only like 6 of us. So that's a big problem I have too, is that there weren't enough people to do the things that they did. If they were who they said they were, if they were who they say they were. Wow, what? Here's a little fun tidbit, by the way. Just a sentence that I came across. Tidbits. I was looking up like what the not the socio, but like the cultural situation that they were in at the time. And I was looking about like, different like technologies, about irrigation and stuff. And there was just this long, whatever, blog post or something like that. And I just found this sentence, and I just thought it was interesting. Porridge can also be fermented to produce beer, another product known to increase rates of childbirth. The main reason we prohibit its use by teenagers.
Porridge?
Now, okay, no.
Wait, the teenagers can't have porridge?
This was a scientific post. Like, this was it was like this is this is the repercussions. You can't have a population over this size if this is your technical limitations, and you can't feed, you can't stay in a location because of this. This is what's required, and and then when it came around, you would be able to produce porridge at the very least, and that would lead to more childbirth and the development of civilizations, because and porridge can also be fermented to produce beer, which is also known to increase the rates of childbirth, which is the main reason we prohibit its use by teenagers, which is so far out of left field. It's like it's beyond speculation. It's just like, wait, like that. Okay, is that why the teenagers are allowed to go to war and drive a car and vote at a certain point, but they can't drink beer
or eat porridge,
or eat porridge because they'll increase the rate of childbirth? I don't know, man. So like, and there's so many situations today. Again, like 3 a.m. to what? So I've been doing this for like 15 hours or something, just sitting here and just looking through stuff. And there's just so many people that like, I want to believe them because they're on the rational side of the argument, and then they'll say something that just, I'm like, what do you mean? What are you talking about? Like the archaeologist, like the head archaeologist is like, they have no reason to stay. They couldn't have possibly survived here. They had no way to actually build a home. They didn't have the tools to do it. So they stayed here for like what we determined to be about 3 centuries. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? Göbekli Tepe, the people that lived there for like 300 years without the means to do so. And they're like, yeah, well, they had a hole that caught runoff rainwater. That's probably how they, anyway, I'm sorry.
But they didn't survive because they didn't have porridge or beer.
They didn't survive because it was 14,000 years ago, actually.
I found this interesting, though. Look, Hiawatha said, the old man who built the Coral Castle in Florida said he learned the way Egyptians built the pyramids, did it by himself at night, and nobody ever saw him lift anything.
Yeah, he hired slaves to do it. No, I don't know. That's probably not true. No, the Egyptians didn't actually use slaves. They didn't use slaves like everyone thought they did. They were probably really harsh, but they didn't. Because they would only it was an agricultural town. Everyone was workers, and so in the off season, that's when they would build. They'd like get the gang together, shape up stones, send them down the river, pull them across the bank, and then hoist them up. Which is weird that Egypt had access to the wheel. Like they had understanding of the wheel at like 2000 BC or so, or before, or because they were like right next to Greece, and Greece had wheels. But as I'm about to say in a moment, did they find any skeletons? That man who built his own pyramid?
No.
I hope not, because then that means that he killed them.
No.
Because they were in his yard.
Göbekli Tepe. Well, whatever.
Göbekli Tepe.
Göbekli Tepe. Göbekli.
They found some human skulls, some human bone fragments, and also animal bone fragments. Also, I came across a bit of information that was entirely glossed over by the documentary, by the archaeologists, by everybody who's talked about it. They found bones, human bones, 2 miles away from so it couldn't have just rolled down the hill, right? They found human bones 2 miles from this complex in their drinking hole. And they were like, cool. You found some bones. Yay, give me the bag. And that's it. They didn't
not in the city part?
Nope. 2 miles away in one of the rainwater holes. They found when he said it, he implied that it was a significant amount of bones. Like he wasn't like, oh, that's a bone fragment. Like he said that he was checking it. He was going to get like some like organic whatever. He's going to scrape the side. And he goes, yo, there's bones in here. And then he just took them. And then they're like, yeah, because the wind probably, or like a leopard or something, I don't know, They died from dehydration, probably. If you've been spending 200 years and your only source of water is a hole that catches rainwater, come on, man. I just don't get it, dude. I don't get it.
Okay, here's the thing. And I mean, maybe it's just our culture and maybe I'm just lazy, but if I were going out to hunt a gazelle for dinner, all right, by the time I got the gazelle, and drug it back home, its carcass, I'm too tired. I'm too tired to try to build something that weighs, 97, whatever, 94, however many thousand pounds.
And that's the thing, right? Is that if it were an agricultural society like Egypt, I can say, well, they did it in their off season. But these people didn't have a granary. They didn't have a bowl to put meat in. They didn't have anything. The best they could have done, they didn't even have straw, dog. Like the best they could have done is like set it on the floor and then ate it later. Like, I just, like.
So so what is your theory? What is your thought about
theory.
How they did this and what they were doing, why they did it?
I have no idea. Dude, I really don't know. Because, my first thought would be like, okay, this is like a cultural site where like all these individual I say civilizations, but they're just like groups of people. All these individual groups of people with some way to produce food would like come and meet here and do like, like rituals or something like that. But that's not true because all those guys had their own ritual spots right next to their houses. So that doesn't make any sense. I don't know.
Could that land have been, are we sure it was desert property back then, or was there?
No, it wasn't desert then. At that time, it was a wetlands because it was post-ice age. It was what they referred to as the Fertile Crescent.
Oh, okay.
Which at that whole area at the time, I believe nearby is where the Indus River Valley civilization was a big deal for like 1,000 years and then disappeared for seemingly no reason and developed baked stone and scales and they were like a metropolis or something.
So it was the Fertile Crescent. So it was nice. Look, they wanted to live on the hill. They wanted the view. Like, this was the upscale people. This was the Fertile Crescent. They're like, oh yeah, we'll move those stones because we want to show them we can. We're the haves. Y'all down there are the have-nots.
Unless they were like eating grass, dude. I don't know, man. Like, I don't know. There's just too many things I don't know yet because, I dove into this whole series of topics like today, and I don't know anything at all. Like I know significantly less now than I did when I didn't know anything at all somehow. Also at Stonehenge, they have found lots of human bones and animal bones, and I just thought that was something. Everyone's like, it was a burial grounds, and they also brought their animals. But I've heard some stories about Stonehenge, and I don't know, and like. If it wasn't some crazy mystical, like people get zapped and disappear or whatever location, it was definitely a place where people got stabbed to death because of God or whatever. Probably had to be. I don't know.
I don't know. There's I don't study Stonehenge. I know a lot of occult practitioners really, it's like a very hallowed ground for them. And I've never really studied Stonehenge because I don't want to. So there you go.
That's fair.
So really,
imagine
now,
getting your buddy to
okay,
drag a 20-ton stone across 20 miles of tundra. You're like, right, another 18 more like that, and we can have a party. I just don't.
Speaking of stones, though, all right, and I'm gonna throw a new subject in here. Sorry, is that okay? Or you got something else? Okay.
Not about these guys, no. I'm done with all that.
Okay. Speaking of stones, what about the Georgia Guidestone? Are you familiar with that? Let me see if I can look it up.
I don't know what that is. I ain't heard nothing about it.
Oh my gosh. Hold on. Keep talking for a second. All right. Basically, uh,
Okay.
I'm trying to get a picture of it. All right. All right. Here, I'm just gonna let me just share mine. Um, can y'all see that?
Yeah.
Let me make it bigger. If I can. How did I do that? Hold on. Ah, well, I made it go away. Okay.
I have it right.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. The Georgia Guidestones. Now, there was a guy, and I watched a whole documentary on this. And let me see if I can pull up what it says. Basically, this guy who to this day remains, as far as I know, y'all, somebody, let me get the message on here. Okay. Uh, a guy who had a lot of money, and he had nobody to this day will give his identity or knows his identity or whatever. He had this thing that's like Stonehenge. You know, you saw the picture of it built, and it's got all of these kind of like tenets, all these things that is supposed to tell us how the world should be. And I'm gonna, one of the
Oh
things,
yeah, this sounds vaguely familiar.
yeah, maintain humanity under 500 million. That means in the whole world. Um, I'm trying to see. It's permanently closed. What? Did something happen? Y'all. Oh, it was dismantled July 6th, 2022. Oh my gosh. Okay. It was in Elbert County, Georgia from 1980 to 2022. 19 feet, 3 inches tall. 6 granite slabs weighing a total of 237,746 pounds. It was known as America's Stonehenge. Let me see. Um, but anyway, I know there's pictures that's got all of these tenets in there, but basically it was talking about how the world was supposed to be run. Now, a lot of controversial things on there, and no one could ever say for sure, you know, who built it, but obviously it was something like this was someone's idea on this is how the only way that this planet can work. And it was crazy because, okay, so I'm looking at the comments because I watched a whole, you know, I've told y'all I live under a rock, not the guidestone, but, okay, let's see what y'all are saying.
I have the
Um,
tenants pulled up here. I can also get you a photo of it if you want it.
yeah, share it. Okay, they're gone. 17 sustainable goals. Yes, it was spooky, Carol. Um, yeah,
Yeah,
they
so it's
he had a name. Um, but when they went to actually identify him, like vet him, verify him, they found out he really the person that paid for all this did not exist. Carol says constructed by Ted Turner and Larry Ellison allegedly. It wouldn't surprise me. What? It was blown up?
yeah. So that's what I was about to say. Someone blew it up.
Strange in 2022. Huh.
It would have been stranger
Interest.
if it was like a, you know,
Yeah.
the year,
It's
the
all in the
year.
book to prepare for the New World Order. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's basically what it was. I mean, it was it was definitely a New World Order thing, and it's set up there. Um, yeah, that's R.C. Christensen paid the banker to have it built. That's what I heard, but in the I don't know. Just in the documentary that I watched, it said that they could never verify who this Christensen person was. Um, uh, let's see. The banker. Oh, let me go back up here. The banker was the only one who knew his name and took it to his deathbed. Yeah. It's just craziness. Um, I didn't realize it had blown up. I mean, did that make national news, or I just not paying attention? What was I doing in 2022? I don't know. But anyway, I was just going to ask you because you saw what were the tenets, by the way. Go ahead and pull those up.
They're right here. One, maintain humanity under 500 million in perpetual balance with nature, which is impossible. I don't know if you know that. That's too few people. Guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity, which is funny because that sounds a lot like, Aryan type one good group, like guide reproduction wisely, improving fitness and diversity. Okay, improving diversity, I guess, sure, you could say like, keep French people hairy and, whatever. But like, improving fitness, that's like, that really leans on towards like what we do to horses, you know what I mean? Like, only the biggest and the strongest. Unite humanity with a living new language, which, sure, we did that once, and then we built a tower. Anyway, number 4, rule passion, faith, tradition, and all things tempered with tempered reason. What I love about these tenets so far is that they are unbelievably vague. Like number 5, protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Thanks. Good idea. Let all nations rule. It's not like, how do you get the population down from 7 billion to 500,000 or 500 million? Like, I don't know. Sounds like only answer is genocide.
Sounds like you need a pandemic.
Yeah,
I know. We'll probably disagree on that, but but that was the grace of God, in my opinion. It was supposed to be. I think that was the supposed to be. And maybe that's why, that happened in 2020. By 2022, people were like, oh, stuff a sock in it. We're going to do what we want. And maybe that's why they took them down. It's like, you know what? Let's go back to square one because we can't even get the first one.
I guess, I don't know. Let all nations rule internally, resolving external disputes in a world court. That would be governed by who? And also enforced by who? Sounds like communism, and communism never works because the world court is always corrupt. But whatever. Avoid petty laws and useless officials. Yeah. And don't step on rocks and eat sandwiches. Like what? Like
officials, let's fire them all now.
It's just saying things. It's saying random stuff. Balance personal rights with social duties. Okay, like one example. Any idea? Like personal rights. Does that depend on? That depends on the person, kind of. In a way, just like avoid petty laws. How, like, what is petty? To a serial killer, murder is petty. Whatever.
Sure.
Prize number 9. Prize truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. Truth about what? Beauty in what? Love with who? Harmony with the I don't know.
Yeah, very vague. Very vague.
The thing is that it's ironic that these texts are seemingly designed to like coerce people into like unifying, and that's the how do I say it? That's the outward appearance of the ideals. But every single one of these things, if everyone did it all at once, especially the genocide, there would be a lot of division. In people in general. I don't know. Be not a cancer on the earth. Leave room for nature. leave room for nature. Why? I mean, some nature, yeah. Don't destroy everything, sure. Don't make the whole world covered in concrete. We agree on that. But nature tried to kill us, and it will do it again. And if there's only 500 million of us, you know, and we're all like spread out. So that's another thing, which I mean, you know, maybe my like perception is skewed because I don't live in like Mexico City. I don't live in Mexico City or like India and like these insanely dense populations. You know, I live in like a somewhat or like rural area, like near a city. But like, I can't get a girlfriend. So, I mean, I think taking away like that amount of people would make it even harder personally. You said there were 17. I only see 10 tenants.
And Hiawatha said it was said in 8 different languages. Yeah, I mean, I understand what they're saying with the tenants, but the thing of it is, you know, just like beauty is in the eye of the beholder. What I think is beautiful, what you think is beautiful, 2 different things. So how are you going to say, okay, let's preserve nature? Well, how much nature do we need versus how many people? You know, again,
the thing is that bothers me about this is that it's very intentionally insidious while very like almost trying too hard to have the visage of love and peace and kindness and stuff. But it doesn't actually speak on any virtues. It doesn't actually speak on anything that would be plausible. It's like, do good and be a good boy and cherish the things that you like the most. Like, okay, what does that mean? It's just, you know, whatever. And you could say, you know, this is one world government rhetoric or, you know, whatever. You can say that this is, honestly, it gives me vibes of like I said, insidious, like slipping in like underneath the radar, like, you know, avoid detection, Satanism kind of. Like it really does have like these like on paper or like when they're read out loud, these like really sweet and tasty, like, you know, beautiful ideals and all that. But the practicality of applying any of these things would destroy the earth. It would kill everybody. Almost any one of these things would destroy humanity. If everyone said, okay, let's do this, like protect people and nations with fair laws and just courts. Yeah. But like, what's fair and to who? There's like 6 different arguments to is morality like a religious trait? Can we have morality with it? What about ethics? What is ethical? Like, you know, all of this. And then that's just the people with their heads screwed on right. There's all other groups of people that are like, well, I mean, you know, he broke my heart, so he should die. And I think that's fair. And to them, they totally do. Some things like, you know, again, like prize, truth, beauty, love, seeking harmony with the infinite. That is
okay,
just
hold on
for
just
division.
a second. I am strangely sick at the moment, so keep going. I'll be right back. But just
Okay.
keep reading. Yeah, I you know.
Swallow fly.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, these things I just don't get the sense that like again, like I hope that I'm making my point like clear. Like it really it's not perverse language. It's like waxing poetic. It's like I really feel like when I read this, I feel like I'm being given poison, but like with a silk glove. You know, they're just like handing me poison gently, and I'm like, ooh, this is fancy. Look at the vial. It's like a crystal vial, and then I drink it, and then I die. I mean, or whatever. It just doesn't feel realistic, and not just that, but it's too vague to take seriously. So, but it looks cool. I can't deny that. Can't fault him there. Looks baller, dude. If I had a house and I could put this like just right in the front yard or something like that. Honestly, I would want 2 of them to sort of have like a driveway, right? And then I'd have just one on each side. But I would have like just nonsense written on it, like no spaghetti on Thursdays. You know what happens, you know, like something like that. You know, I don't know. Your dog hates playing frisbee, but he loves you. You know, like okay, you know, what does that mean? You know, I guess I do it. Does he do it because he loves? Am I mean to my dog? You know, just weird, vague. Like I'm not really sure where it's going, type of deal. Anyway, I was gonna talk about the pyramids because there's some interesting information about those. But what do you think? Okay, hold on. Let me read some of these comments. I wish I could pop out the comments, but I can't.
Oh, sorry. I'm back, but now I've got my earbud stuck in my ear. So carry
Well, that's
on.
where it goes. So
No, it's this part. Like the part. I mean, yeah, it goes there, but it's not supposed to be stuck there.
stop looking
I'm
at this.
having-
Wasn't time.
Oh,
Don't look
okay.
at that either. Don't look at any of this. Actually, no, I'm not. No, you're not ready for any of these things. These images aren't for you yet. Here, I'll just
Okay.
close them.
Okay, go ahead. Where are we at? I might
so-
have to. I feel like I'm gonna hurl.
Yo, just do it. You
No.
know, you're man. Just do it in your
That will
hands.
live forever on YouTube.
Dude, throw up in your hands and then you're like, and then throw it in the air like confetti and then like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, that's not a reason I want to go viral.
You sure?
Yeah.
Dude, I mean, I think you nail it. I want to show you this image because I have it available. And I'm just gonna keep going about what I was talking about earlier. So those folks, pre-tools, they had flint knives. So I guess that's a tool, and stones, and that's it. So the pyramids, you know, the great pyramids, the wonderful pyramids of Giza, so first of all, we carbon dated them to like 4,500 BC, which is cool, radical, I guess, you know, that's pretty baller. The problem is that stones aren't carbon datable because they are made of stone, and they've always been around. And so we were like, okay, we can only try to carbon date the mortar that was used as an adhesive, to keep the bricks together. But you can't carbon date mortar either. You can, so all the things that they did, they would get the mortar and they would just cross their fingers and hope that there was like algae residue, some sort of biological leftovers from 6,000 years ago to their estimate. So, you know, they can say 4,500. I don't know. The biggest problem that I have, and you can see this image, it's an image that does not change size when I enlarge it. Okay, it's a very low quality image. I could not find the original. Sorry about that. But what you're looking at is the Sphinx. And the cool thing about the Sphinx is that, first of all, the erosion level on the Sphinx is so much higher than it is on the pyramids. And the pyramids were looted, and like they had limestone capstone that was ripped off and then used to build houses. And the pyramids are still in better shape than the Sphinx. And people are just like, I mean, it's like his face is like, you know, it's like sanded down. The nose is not on his face, which is where it goes. And, you know,
Should.
yeah, of course. And people are just like, you know, they just, oh, okay. But the problem, okay, what you're looking at the bottom left there, those are its little feetsies. And in that area, there is very deep indentions where water had been pouring over the feetsies for long enough to leave, erosion, divots, whatever, like actually erode the feetsies in that stream. The interesting thing about that is that in the last time that there was enough water or rainfall for there to be this to be possible was like 10,000 BC or so, like 9,000 BC. So for one, that literally doubles the length of time that the Egyptians could have been here. But what that also means is that when the Egyptians got to Egypt, this guy was already here.
What?
The Sphinx was already here when the Egyptians showed up.
Well, wait a second. I was taught in school that the Egyptians built the Sphinx.
Yeah, and I was also taught that JFK was like an accident,
I
and
know, but like, okay, so, but people have said, as they've looked at images of the face of the Sphinx, and they believe that it had a different form, like that wasn't its original face, like it's been carved on by maybe the Egyptians. I don't know, that the face has been changed. They think, or I saw something.
which is, I mean, it's likely. It really is very likely. The Egyptians, famously liked cats or whatever. I mean, even just looking at the image from a very far distance, like I can tell you're all forced to do, you can kind of tell that the head is not exactly quite in line with the rest of the body, right? Like it's all face erosion and all this. But like if you really look at the thing. Just look at it for like half a second. Yeah. It literally looks like this head was just plopped on top. It's like a different color. It's much, much smaller than it should be.
Roblox.
Literally. But so the problem with this is that it brought the age that the Egyptians actually were here and the age of the Sphinx, and it brought it way back. Let me pull up my notes here. I know I had an order of operations I was going to talk about these particular things in.
Yeah, I have heard that it was, I know what you're saying, Shay. I've heard that it was originally a lion's head.
Yeah. I mean, and it's a lion's body,
Yeah, definitely.
And you could see how if Egyptians moved into, or like, because they weren't just like a bunch of guys, a bunch of Egyptians all come into the city at the same time. Like the first couple of eras, it was chaos. They were all city states. They were all like at war with each other. But you can see how especially if it was, 9,000 years or whatever, how they would begin to take like, imagery from the cat that they moved in next door to. But so the thing that I think is most interesting about this, and there's a lot of stories, there's a lot of things that I didn't have a chance to fully research, so I'm not really going to like go super far in depth with that. I was going to say I have 37 tabs open, and some of them were relevant to what I was going to talk about. I wanted to talk about pyramids in general, because I'll close these bad boys. We don't need those right now.
Okay, wait a second. So it was, hold on, while you're pulling up that, I'm going to highlight, Hiawatha says, yes, a lion's head pointing to the constellation of Leo. Was there a reason that Leo was the one they wanted to point at?
Oh, right. So, yes, it did do that. It did be doing that. I don't know. But I do imagine, I can just imagine if that's what they called it, then if they recognized that constellation as a cat or as Leo or whatever, and then they built a cat, But the problem that I have with all of this is that, like, they were really accurate with everything they did. They would have had to use the largest pyramid is almost centered perfectly on true north. They would have had to use the old string and thing. It's string, and it doesn't. I can't remember what it's called. My brain is fried, dog.
That sounded like you were about to hack up a hairball. I'm interested in why Leo, because it just so happens that Brain and I are both Leos, and not that I go by any kind of astrology, but it's odd. Like, what was the importance of that, I wonder?
I do wonder too. The thing is, when it comes to the Sphinx and the Leo thing, I'm afraid that we'll never know, because I don't think it was the Egyptians that built it. And so, who does that mean did build it?
It was the cat people The cat people did it.
So the weird thing is that, you know, again, this is that same era where, you know, people hadn't, it was right after the Ice Age, people hadn't yet developed any form of tools at all, and then they built the Sphinx. You know, it's like that bothers me a lot, actually. Where's this note? Come back, note. Where's my note? What? What? There you are. I mean, I'm cheating. I have to look at my notes because
Well, while he's looking at that, what some of y'all were saying earlier, several of you were saying about energy, being able to do things with energy. Like, what do you mean? Like, was it a
so
like? What,
so that's one of the points I was going to get to in a little bit. So, okay, the years were longer. There's a lot more things they could have done in that time. There's so many stories in their religion or in their culture about like Thoth was like a godlike being that they claimed to get. Thoth. I didn't get it. I didn't have time to really do any research on like the origin or like the story behind it. But I had read in passing that was one of the beings they said. And this is a thing. So the problem is, or the bothering thing is that there's a lot of stories where the people are like, yeah, I got information from a being, like a godlike being. And that happens a lot, and it's too many times for me to be comfortable with. So the Thoth was one of those beings. And then Imhotep was another one. He was one of the rulers. He was like, yeah, there was a being. He like gave me information. I don't know what kind of information he got. But the problem that I have is that in this pyramid, there were what they originally assumed to be like ventilation shafts or whatever. Oh, the importance of the date. I forgot. Oh my God. I remember where I was going. Thanks for being patient, everybody. So the issue is that there were a couple of guys that were like, they seen in the Great Pyramid, there are these two shafts in like these chambers. One points to Orion and the other points to Sirius. Now, a couple of things. For one, Orion, or Orion's belt specifically, is like it's like a line, and then it's three stars, like three in a very particular shape.
like
and
a
they
crescent almost?
kind of they built the pyramids in that exact shape. But not only did they do that, they also took into account the adjacent river. Like they mirrored it. They built these unbelievably monolithic structures. Like still to this day, amazing. I saw an image earlier of a guy standing about 300 or 400 feet away from the pyramid, and he was so small still. He was closer to the camera, and he was puny. I know, like, oh, you know, yeah, the pyramids, it's a big deal, but like, dude, it's a big deal, man. Like, it's actually absurd. It's actually absurd how many blocks there are. But I digress entirely. That's so the big deal is that the alignment of the pyramids, Orion's belt, and then these two chambers that would point to Orion's belt and to Sirius. And there's like theories that they got this where the aliens were from was like Sirius or whatever. I don't know about any of that, but what I will say is that this theory was mocked and laughed at because they're like, you're ridiculous. They're just for air. Because, you know, at like 4500 BC, they weren't aligned. Because the way the earth moves, right? But guess what year? Guess around what year they would have been perfectly aligned.
I don't know. What year?
10,000 BC when they moved in, and the Sphinx was with the water, and we took it back and we moved it back, and then
Blecky
Well, so yeah, no, well, so the Sphinx in the water hadn't happened since 9,000, and then everyone's like, no, it was like 4,500, and then these guys are like, but look at the way that they align the point of this pyramid directly with this star, and then how the Orion's belt is a big deal to them, and it literally has, and there's this whole lore in their religion where you go in and you're like in a womb and you have this like spiritual like rebirth or something, and you would also, when they die, they would have like cults of people like pray for them because they would like go and like conquer like animals in space or something, whatever, in the afterlife or whatever. It was cool. It was cool stuff. Really interesting. I don't know how they knew about most of this stuff. They could see the stars and all that, and I guess to build the pyramid under the star, they just look up, I'm also impressed by the amount of planning it would have taken to build such a monolithic structure and be able to actually accurately count the blocks and carve out the hallway and make it exactly perfectly in line to make it visible with Orion. I think that's fascinating. But you know what's even more fascinating? That on the other side of the planet, hold on. I got it around here. Some here around here now. Oh, I got two of them. All right, bam. On the other side of the planet in I'm sorry.
Oh, wait.
Teotihuacán. Whatever.
It sounds really bad.
Oh man, it's been a long one, boys and girls. I'm sorry, I'm letting you down. Anyway, I'm sorry. Let me start over. On the other side of the planet at roughly the same time, I actually have dates here. I actually think that this was a little bit further past that time, but I can't be for sure. They did the same exact thing on the other side of the planet, not knowing about Egypt and what all. They did the same. Look at the image, man. Look at it. It's the tiny one and then the big one and then another one that's like, oh, wow, it's like situated just like it's Orion's belt. Well, that's very interesting. I think it's very interesting, too. I also think that it's very, very fascinating that they also laid out their city in the same way that the paths of our solar system is laid out. If you look at it, you can see how it's aligned with everything that they built. How did they know? Because we thought the Earth was flat and also revolved around the sun for like 1,000 years or more, 1,800 years or so, 1,700, something like somewhere. I don't know. But I just think it's interesting that without a helicopter or a telescope or any sort of equipment at all, that they would know the exact positioning and the paths of these celestial bodies that they have no way of knowing exist in the first place. I just think that's really interesting. Oh my God, I've got so many freaking pictures. Let me close some of these.
No more rock star for Brain Bungler.
Jeez, man. No, dog, that ain't the problem. The problem is I done got too deep in the hole. I done been looking. I done been seeing things. All right.
Okay,
Let me.
we're so smart.
I'm sorry. Yes, we do, and we're not, and we think we have technology, and we do, but it's a cell phone, and it's not a pyramid, and when we die, it won't matter, and, all this, and, again, I talk about Newtonian physics being, like, the end-all, be-all of, like, our understanding of the human anatomy, or, like, there's no such thing as metaphysics, or, like, EMF fields, or, like, actually how spirituality works, even though everyone in the world feels like spirituality does exist, no one wants to believe in it because it makes them feel weird. Because why would that be real? I'm going to take my tape measure. I can't it doesn't fit in my vial. I don't know how to measure this. It can't possibly be real. So another thing I think about a lot is that the pyramids, all of them, were designed almost specifically to be viewed from an elevated position. What do I mean by that? Well, this is just an example, just a throwaway photo. I like that. I think the imagery is beautiful. Isn't that something special? If you
really
walked in, if you walked into the courtyard, you just see walls and like one pointed building. If you look at it from above, you see a G, like you see geometrical. Sorry, I kept trying to say it like geometrical figure. It boggles the mind. Where's the rest of my photos here? I'm going to show you some really cool stuff.
So
now.
obviously they didn't have airplanes or even hang gliders and things like that.
No.
So they
didn't even have
they couldn't view
pogo
it.
stick or moon shoes or a long rope or anything like that. They had none of that.
Yeah.
So this is which I stole a few of these images from the History Channel because it's really difficult to find images in general because everyone is advertising stuff. Now this is the one. All this other stuff up to this point, I've been like, well, I will say in Chakudi or whatever. I can't. Golly, I'm from the South. Except for that one, and even like the position of the city and the solar system, like the orbital paths, I could have been like, hey, whatever. It is incredibly unrealistically coincidental, but I could see how that could be an accident. With this, it's a little different. So this is Borobudur. It's a strange name. It's in Indonesia, and it's a Buddhist temple, and I'm not Buddhist, but it has got to be one of the most beautiful structures I've ever laid eyes on. This is just an ugly side view, but I wanted you to see how many Buddhas they made. They made Buddhas everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There's 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is just like this is a moving shot along the side. Lots of them. Let me pull up another photo here of the corner. Look at and this is a low quality image.
And when was this built?
200 BC, I believe, if I'm not mistaken.
Wow.
Which is, again, very, very, it's actually built over the course of 200 years. Actually, it was between 200 and 400 BC is when this was being constructed. It was built in phases, yada, yada. It's an amazing, look at that. Look at it.
It is.
That's incredible.
It is yeah.
I got one more from, here's a walkway from the inside. And again, it's just every piece of it is it's got etchings. It's got my God, man, every single piece of it is truly phenomenal. Just in the design, I would be breathtaking.
Do you remember when you said the people on the other side of the world from the Göbekli Tepes, they put, or from the pyramids, whatever, they built the same thing, across the world. But do you remember who those people were?
Sorry, I accidentally opened my music creation program. I'm sorry, can you repeat what you said?
When you showed us the picture of how, we were looking at the pyramids and everything, and how on the other side of the world, close to the same time, give or take, there was another set of structures that mirrored Orion's belt. Do you remember the name of those people or that culture?
Oh God, I deleted all of my notes. Hold on.
That's okay. I just thought you might know. It was
one
of those
I know.
words.
I just.
It wasn't the Takuchi peoples, was it? Okay.
Yeah, it was those. It was them.
Whatever those are. I hope I don't get in trouble for saying it. I don't know what they were, but yeah.
Hold on, I got. Come on, you know what I mean, Google. Come on, you know. I'm not that far off, am I really?
I don't know. So are you saying, I'm going to get to this.
I just lost so much information, by the way. I accidentally deleted my main notes, and now I'm really upset because now I'm going to have to wing it, everything that I was going to do. And also I deleted somehow the image that I had. I have so many images, by the way. Had
So,
one. Go ahead.
okay, so Pam is had asked a few minutes ago when we were talking about the building of all this stuff, like, from space, and we're talking about how they couldn't see it, how they couldn't see it when they built it to know. I mean, how do you even make sure it's perfectly aligned? But whatever. Um, okay, hold on. Uh, hold on. I have an emergency right here with
Oh,
my.
that's fine.
But I mean, yeah. So are you saying that it's
Oh, this is it.
space people?
Yehuda. Um, Unfortunately, that is really the only option. By the way, I don't think I actually ever shown you. I actually got to show you a full blown, real deal image of these pyramids in Teotihuacan. There's no way. Teo. Oh man, I was so far off. This is a low quality image, but it is pretty amazing. It's also pretty amazing from above, but no one ever. Let me move it along. So okay, we have that, and we have the Mayans who built. The Mayans built in South America.
Yeah, it's like a temple, kind of the Mayan temple. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, Maya built the temple of the sun and the moon, and they were significant, and I can't remember why. But they're also building pyramids, and no one's telling them to. Now, I know there's like certain things. It's like, okay, I'll tell you what. Pyramid. If you want to go up, and you don't have like support beams and all that, you build a bunch of triangles. Build a pyramid because it just goes up as tall as the base was wide. And I get that. Same reason people like bury it up underground. Like I totally get that. Oh man, I lost my good notes on the thing too. God, I'm so
Well, just wing it.
pissed.
Just wing it, because we've been.
Yeah, I just wanted to wrap it up quickly, and now I can't do that because all the stuff that I spent several hours writing down, I forgot to hit save on. So I guess I'll just die of cringe. The Mayans built something amazing, and then in South America, they built hundreds of thousands of pyramids, like hundreds of thousands of pyramids. I want to say the sun and moon. Oh yeah, the temple of the sun and the temple of the moon both sat under Orion and Sirius. Interestingly enough, and then that image that I have pulled up here of Borobudur. This image right here on my screen that you can see in just a moment. Right here, if you got to do it. I don't think it's on there.
It's not pulled up to StreamYard.
What? What did it go
You have
wrong?
you have to upload it, present it.
Why did that happen? It was been up. This image.
I don't know. It went away.
Weird.
Let's see.
Sorry.
Let me add it.
Remember that Buddhist temple and all that?
Yeah.
And I was going to talk about all that. This is the top, looking straight down. So this got 7 layers of pathways and all this, and then it's got 3 concentric circles above it, which is just amazing. It has 72 stupas, each housing its own Buddha, and this is the only So the thing that I think that bothers me the most is that they spent 200 or 300 years building this, and they never would have seen this image.
Right.
They would have never seen it. But they had to have known this is what it looked like because this is what they built. And I can't imagine, look at how nearly perfect it is. And it is like 2,000 years old, essentially. Like it's phenomenal. It's phenomenal. And the tops of these buildings, so often do they look something like this.
So what is your reasoning as to why if they couldn't see it and they couldn't appreciate it, what was the point of building it so intricately were they thinking the people from above could see that? And was it a message? Was it like, why?
Dude, who knows? Who knows? You know, because the thing is in the theory, it could be like anywhere from like, oh, you know, they must have been flying, or it was a signal. Some people say it was a geodetic landmarks that marks places of power. Some people say that it created an interconnected network, a grid that, you know, charged all these places of power and like connected the entire earth together on some crazy network grid, which is interesting because there are pyramids in Antarctica. There are pyramids buried in the jungles everywhere. There's also this not pyramid at all in China. So in 1947, a U.S. colonel was flying over the island of Qinshan, I believe, and he saw what he was surprised to see as what he said was a giant pyramid, and he was so flabbergasted that he got the New York Times to make a whole story about it. Now, this is the lowest quality image in the history of the world. But so the thing is, actually, hold on, let me pull up a good one. Get out of here. So this 1920s or so.
That is a beautiful picture.
I think so. In the 1920s, this is what those mounds looked like. Now, I'm going to say a couple of things really fast, and I just want you to not die of being scared of the extraterrestrials. But so the first Qin dynasty is let me back up a little bit. This is what the pilot saw. And he said, I saw this. And the New York Times said, this pilot saw this. And then China covered it in grass or whatever. Like, so this is 1920 era. And there's a Chinese fella who was talking about it. He's like, this is the Chinese government did this. It was crazy. And then after they did that, they, I deleted it. Well, here, this will also suffice. So he saw that. And then the Chinese government was like, no, you didn't. They're just hills. And then they covered it up. They ordered that the entire thing be covered in plants. They wanted it to resemble hills or a mountain or whatever. And then they made all of it they found 37 of them, right? 37 pyramids in this area. And then they made the entire area a forbidden zone, so no one can even go look at them. The fun thing, the thing that I think I like the most, is it was in these pyramids that the terracotta army was found. You know, thousands and thousands of terracotta soldiers. You guys remember that?
No,
I do.
I've never heard about that.
You've never heard about this?
No.
The terracotta army? It's like one of the world wonders, bro. Like thousands and thousands of these guys.
Wow.
And the mausoleum of the Emperor of Qin after the first Qin dynasty or whatever. Now, you know what I really love about this story? It isn't the conspiracy. It isn't you didn't see a pyramid and then they take 50 miles of sod wide and 100 long and just drape it over a mountain pyramid or whatever. It's not just that. I really like the part where they found this unbelievable, incomprehensible world wonder. Why anyone ever would have done this for any reason. It goes on, and this is where some of them broke and all this. Okay.
Wow.
This guy had lots and lots of writings in which he said that he was visited by a godlike being who shared with him lots of information, which sounds like everyone else. Actually, sounds like everyone who ever had a pyramid said the exact same thing. So bizarre that. What a crazy coincidence. Again, this is what it looked like before the Chinese government said that's not real, and then and now this is it. No, these are hills. These perfectly four-faced, triangular shaped, flat top hills. They're hills, and you're not allowed to come over here either. Don't look. And they never excavated the mausoleum either. They never excavated anything. They're not allowed. The Chinese government said, no, we will kill you if you come over here, if anyone comes over. So they just don't. So on to my last little bit. And I really had...
This is what Margaret was saying, and I wondered about that. Some terracotta has skeletons in them. I wonder. I was sitting there thinking, I wonder if some of those are actual bones. They're all
that
different.
would be kind of badass, though, honestly, to be buried in a soldier who doesn't die or whatever, and always be like in uniform and be like ready to fight, you know. Like that reminds me of that story of that one guy who was like governor of his town or something. He was a prominent figure, and then the town betrayed him. They like hung him on like false accusations, and then he requested that as long as he was buried upside down, so that he could forever portray his arse at the town.
Yes, yes, I remember
gives me those
that
kind
story.
of vibes.
Yeah,
yeah. So that I like that a lot. There probably were skeletons in it, and there's even but again, there's writings and even historic like art depictions of like the bowing down to him.
Brain, is why did the Chinese government want to hide that? What is the purpose? I don't get it.
I don't know, boss. You know, hey, look, I'll tell you what. If there's aliens out there that you don't know about, that you know that do exist, and you don't know how to interact with them, and you never seen them, and you don't have any way to know like how you're going to interact with them, and then everyone starts pointing at your alien buttons, and you say, "Don't look at those. I don't know what that button does. Don't come up. Go away. Go home. Go away. You're not allowed here."
Okay,
so
wait.
There's that.
Put that picture back up there of the grid looking thing.
I don't know if I have it anymore. I think I closed it. Oh, these are all the grid. What grid were you talking about?
Yeah, the one that you said. It looks like they're like this is what it looked like. You just had it up not too long ago.
Oh, it's probably actually these are saved photos. I can find them. Hold up.
It's
Was it the one from like? Was it?
It might be that one.
Was it this one?
Yes, that one.
Oh,
okay, now look at this. Okay, be open-minded. All right, but look at each of those little rectangle. Each piece. There's like pieces. Doesn't it almost look like what we have that we scan as computer codes when we buy groceries and stuff?
Oh, you mean like?
What is that called?
You just mean like a motherboard, processor, and tracers and stuff?
Well, that's what I was going to say. I have a lot of thoughts. I'm thinking, like my brain is whirring. But no, it's the computer, it's the scanner code. You know, when you go to, Aldi's and you got to scan your own groceries and it's that little computer code. The little
QR
lines.
code?
No, not QR because that's little squiggly lines. The barcode.
Oh, don't some of these? Well, these are just fields, I think.
I know, but look, doesn't it look like it could be barcodes?
I mean, sorta, yeah.
And then what you were saying about because somebody brought up, I can't remember who it was. It's just a few minutes ago. Somebody brought up ley lines. Do you know what a ley line is?
I've heard of it, but I don't really know much about it.
I only know a little bit. I know it from maybe the spiritual aspect of it. Ley lines are lines that they say go through the earth that spirits travel on. Now, let me say this delicately. I have seen an area where ley lines are, where things do travel. Yeah, thank you. Now everybody's putting barcode in there. Thank you. I had a brain cramp. But yeah, ley lines make it easier for spirits to travel about. And so I was looking at all of this stuff, these little pyramids, and yeah, when you look at it, it kind of does look like the inside of a motherboard. I'm not a computer person, but you got you got stuff. You got little, squares, and then you got raised things. And like when you're looking at that, what if it was like the whole Earth is some kind of motherboard?
So I mean, so I don't, okay. While researching all of this, my prime directive was to sort out things like, not just propaganda, but like, because a lot of people that talk about these kinds of things, and the last story, actually, there's two more things that I want to tell you, and then I'm done. But the last one, there's this guy who had a lot of really cool points and like ideas and stuff. But the whole world agrees that he's full of it and that he just wanted to spin a tale to drive tourism to his poverty-stricken hometown. And and also get rich writing a book about it. And as it turns out, the more that I look into anything of this nature, but especially when it comes to history and anything alternative, anything that's outside of what we all agree on, it's for every 10 people that say some crazy phenomenal just spin a tale or whatever, 9 of them are full of it. And so it's really, really difficult to I'm like, yeah, that's a fun thought. I see the image and I'm like, yeah, it does, I'm like, but grass is green and wheat is gold. And if you go somewhere else, then it won't look like that, but I mean, I know what you're saying, and I built a couple of PCs, and I mean, I got one in there. The motherboard's black,
Yeah.
but I mean, I could see how, you could look at it that way. I will say, however, on the opposing side of that train of thought, is that the way that the majority of pyramids have been built is deeply unsettling in the way that they are precise, the way that they're often situated. Some of them were built for housing or monumental decoration purposes or mausoleums or what have you. Some of them were not built for those purposes at all. And so there's 2 things when it comes to pyramids that people talk about. They sound as word with God in a beginning, in my opinion. Light, energy, sound, mobility, heat. It was thought out. Yeah. I mean, I don't.
Because what if you were looking at, what if you were looking at physical and metaphysical together, okay? So if you're looking at the physical pyramids and these monuments and all these different things that are structured and laid out in such a way, what if that is I mean, if you take the physical and then you put the energy lines, which, the spiritual lines of the ley lines and all the other kind of stuff that we probably really don't even fully understand, would you get a computer like grid? Like, I mean, that's kind of horrifying. But these things
not
are.
really. So if that were true,
purpose?
So if that were true, then those lines, those tracers would be under the ground, because, in this, either they would be physical and underground, or they would be spiritual or whatever, and connect the earth in some sort of like, just imagine all these different points on earth. And then one bit of energy is introduced and it's able to, like radio towers, signal to each other and create essentially a grid. And if that were the goal, it could either be used to, so one of the Sumerian texts, like the very first civilization that we know of, except for Göbekli Tepe, I gotta I gotta figure out the timelines on those two things. But the oldest texts that we have are the ancient Sumerians, and in their account, two figures like that really seem to represent God and the devil were created, and those people created human beings to harvest the earth, and then later there was some other. It just kind of step. Well, it's actually interesting about that story is that the way that so it's Enki, who is a little trickery demon, and Enlil, who is like the righteous, whoever, like the straightforward, stern guy. Those stories I find interesting. Those stories write it as though Enki, the trickster, is actually the good guy, and he's like stealing all this information and giving it to the people and all this stuff. And he's like, and then Enlil is like the harsh boss and all that. And I just find that as a very interesting dichotomy between that and then the way that the Christian Bible was written with those same two principles, except for obviously in the way that we know them. And then I think about how many religions have that same concept of there is a good and then there's an evil and they're at war, but then there's also so many very, very close to specific it's almost just like the Bible in a lot of ways, and and that opens up a whole different can of worms that I didn't mean to talk about. But my point being is that if the earth was if humans were created before Adam and Eve entered the world, and if that Adam and Eve when they donned clothes of skin, it wasn't animal skin, but it was a human form, and then their firstborn child Cain was able to go off and meet other civilizations inexplicably, then that would pose questions does everyone have a soul? Are those people still here? How long was the earth around before we came into the picture? I guess as conscious humans or soul humans or whatever you would even think of that as. But you could say there's probably if it were meant to harvest the energy of the earth, and as someone who has done acid several times and probably will never do it again, I will say that one thing that I definitely understand is that the earth itself and all of creation has a form of energy that it just is interconnected. The whole earth is connected with this energy, and
people are connected. The energy of people are connected as well.
Yeah, and I will say that that has a lot of implications. I don't too much want to talk about getting to the spiritual thing because dude, I next week maybe or whatever, but totally, because there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, I would really like to talk about it too, because the problem is that people feel this way. They feel spiritual. They feel like there's metaphysical power or something somewhere. They feel the energy of the earth. They feel the energy within themselves, and they feel it when they're interacting with other people, especially sensitive people who aren't just blinding themselves constantly. But then there's no information on what any of this is, and so every individual person has to do what all of the ancient civilizations did and say, I don't know, is there a sun god, or is there I don't know, dude, is there a god of being handsome? Because I want to worship that guy. Or, it's just everyone just has to, what I'm actually saying though is that everyone has to just make it up for the most part. They have to go with their gut, and then everyone's kind of at odds with each other, but so you could say, I don't know, maybe the earth is connected on some sort of grid like this, using these monumental landmarks, these pyramids, to somehow connect with everything. I don't know. But what I do know is that pyramids actually do have a very measurable impact on your physical health. And I know this because there was a man, he was a research doctor. I don't know what you call a doctor of research. I don't know. You just say researcher, but with a D, doctor of research? I don't know. He was a guy who was very well studied, and he began to question the religious practices of the Egyptians. It was so deeply ingrained in their culture. And as we see with most cultures, they derive things from the environment around them. So the Egyptians had a love of cats or whatever. And they had this crazy belief, there's something about spiritual energy or you die and you go on to the next life and these people give you their energy or something and you become Orion, just wild stuff. And there's like the, you know, you're in the womb and you're transformed. That was actually the Buddhist temple place. But anyway, unrelated. This scientist, well, not scientist, this doctor actually had not 1-to-1 scale, obviously, but he had the dimensions replicated and built, and it's still quite sizable fashion, a series of pyramids that mimicked both the bent dome, the one with the divots in it, and then the traditional straight flat pyramid, just constructed in his backyard using limestone. And I can't remember if he used the gold plating at the top. I imagine that would have been incredibly expensive on an already expensive project. But he entered, okay, so there's a couple things. He entered the big regular pyramid, and somewhere in the middle, he very noticeably felt better, lighter, recharged, just like he felt like he was in tune, not just with like himself, but like he felt like he was in tune with like the area around him. He felt like there was, I don't know if I would call it a vibrational energy, but I don't know how else to describe it. It was a very like positive, like he became in tune with it and he could feel it almost uplifting his physical health in a way. At which point he did experiments with 2 more parts.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he did, so at which point with the regular pyramid, he went to the bent shaped pyramid. And in that one, he felt miserable. He felt very, very sapped, like drained, like just sickly almost. And none of that matters because it's like, I mean, maybe he had like a hot pocket before he went in the other one. He had diarrhea, whatever. But the cool thing, the observable thing is that outside of the regularly shaped pyramid is that there was a very noticeable, like measurable increased growth of vegetation outside the immediate surrounding area of that traditionally built pyramid. And I mean, that's just, it just was what it was, I guess. But he was able to prove in a way that there is some sort of energy somehow that pyramids are able to collect, you know, and there's all these theories that the pyramid is actually only half of not a dodecahedron, but an octahedron or whatever you would call it.
Yeah.
And that there's all this, you know, but whatever, you know.
Well,
but
you know, have you never seen those? I mean, I've seen, you can buy them. They're like pyramid hats. I've seen people, you're supposed to put them on your head for so long every day or what, I don't know. I've seen stuff like this, and you know, it's kind of like him, almost like an infomercial, you know, it will do this and it will do that. And I'm like, I am not sticking a pyramid on my head, but you know, apparently this is a practice that some people, even, you know, our civilization does, people who believe that there is some kind of metaphysical power in that shape, and you wear a, you know, some people wear tinfoil hats, some people wear pyramids. I don't know.
I don't think it would work with a hat. But if it was like $19.99, I would buy one. And then the guy who made it wins, and then I lose, but I learn a lesson, so I break even. It all works out.
People swear by these. The people who wear the pyramid hats, like they're wires. They're wires. Like you can see through them. They're just like wires, and I don't know.
Yeah, people also believed in like power bracelet back in the day. You remember that thing?
I remember. I hoped so much that it would work, but it did not.
Yeah, I've seen, I mean, the simple fact is I've seen dozens and dozens and dozens of products that like, wear this, it like balances your like key energy. Also, I'm selling pot for $20 a bag. I got some in the van. You want to come? Also, this patchouli wax is on sale too. So it's like whatever, you know. I mean, you know, it's like okay, you know, I think it's very cool. I love the idea, you know, that like, I mean, it's a very fascinating idea. It's one that I really want to get enveloped is that there's like you don't need like technology that would like, monitor and measure and alter your, natural flow, but that like somehow there would be a material or shape or combination of material and shape that you could wear on your person that would somehow balance you internally and make you more harmonious with the environment around you. I don't think that's an outlandish concept to imagine. I am, however, incredibly disappointed that the power balance bracelet didn't neither give me power nor balance. But I mean, the last thing that I wanted to mention was something that is I've just been curious about it. It's something that has outlandish facts, or not facts. Here, I've got a couple of images here. Now, this was one that this was going to be, if I had all my notes and I hadn't been like bursted in the brain bubble, I would have been prepared and we would have been through this already and all that. But this is in Bosnia, and this is that last guy I was talking about. This like fanatic, this guy who's like a cultural representative.
This is in Bosnia?
Yeah.
Bosnia is in Croatia, or I don't know if it's still. They've cut up the country several times. Yeah, we're Croatian. I'm half Croatian, so.
Where's that picture I just had up? This is the same one. Ain't the same one, man. Dang it! I'm talking about. Golly bum. I gotta stop being awake or whatever I'm doing. Okay, I got just a couple images here. So this is significantly worse than that last picture that I just had up. But this is one of the aforementioned potential pyramids. Now, I'll say this. The guy who was making these claims were absurd. This is the same image. Where's that good one I just had up? Whatever. He was saying some crazy stuff, man. Like, he was saying that this stuff was dated. Oops, what is that? Why is it pulling up images from like earlier, dog? What's going on? Whatever. This stuff was like dated to like 10,000 BC, and that they were using like highly refined concrete that like he tested it time and time again, and every time it came back as artificial, man-made synthetic concrete that was 3 times stronger than what we have today. And I immediately knew that was stupid, because the reason our concrete is of lower quality is because we have stress tests for specific conditions, so that when we create the concrete, we can create it for skyscrapers so that it has a certain amount of bend before it shatters, so that it can survive high winds and earthquakes and things of the sort. It'll typically be like 60-40 to 70-30 split, and then they'll mix it, and then they constantly, with every batch, they create a block, and then they crush it as hard as they can, and then they mark the notes at when it begins to crack and when it begins to shatter. So the reason that if they did have concrete, it was higher quality, is because they literally didn't have the refining process that we have. But I digress. He also said, which this is just a picture of like some rubble. I don't know. He's
it
like,
looks like, okay.
Look at him. He's like, yeah, dude, look at this rock. This is like amazing. Look at the architecture on this rock. And this guy's like, he promised
really
me Subway,
gnarly.
And I'm hungry. Golly, there was that other image.
Sound good.
Don't it though? Do it, don't. This image here. So he was saying things like they had underground, like a network of underground tunnels and paved roads and all of this and that and the other. That there was one other guy who was like, yeah, I don't know about any of that. Some people look at a mountain and say it looks like a pyramid. Some people look at a pyramid and say it looks like a mountain. Where's that image I just had up, dude? That was a good one. You remember? You saw it a second ago. It looked like a real pyramid. This looks like a hill. This is way worse. No, that looks
like a pyramid. It looks like a pyramid to me, because no mountain is naturally got a pointy peak.
Well, it's not just that.
It just goes up. It's so sharp.
It's not just the peak. The thing that bothers me the most are these ridges where it's so sharply curves. That's the part that makes me think like, okay, though, I mean, like, for real, don't be goofing with me. This is it. Oh, there we are. Okay. All right. So this is the image I saw, and I was like, okay, but you can't tell me that's not a pyramid. You can't look me bald face in the face, bald, and say that's not a pyramid. because it
That looks
like
yeah, that looks like a
it
pyramid. to me.
literally is a pyramid. Now here's the problem. If this is a pyramid, okay, so actually here's the first problem. That guy said that if he didn't say if. He said that he estimates that this pyramid is made up of approximately 18 million tons of cement, which is it's ludicrous. It's absurd for a group that no one knows. They were the Aurelians or something like that. No one had any information about it. No one could find anything. Blah 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 blah. He also said, well, okay, but that's not the. So my favorite fun fact about this particular pyramid, not mountain, it's definitely a pyramid, is that if this is a pyramid, which look at it, it is approximately 300 feet taller than the Great Pyramid in Giza.
Really?
Which is a lot. Dude, that pyramid is pretty freaking big. And this one is 300 feet taller.
Wow.
Supposedly. And there's a couple of them. There's like that one, and then there's that one, which, I mean, that one's a little bit more rounded, but again, too, like the thing is that, like, I want to pick a side. I want to be like, oh, there's a conspiracy out there. They're covering up mountains. China did literally cover up a mountain. Whatever. I don't know. And then there's the other side that's like, it's just a hill, dude. I don't know what you want. But I mean, look, these two mountains, they're next to each other. And I mean, like, you could say that one's a hill, like just a strangely shaped hill with like a nipple or whatever, I guess. But you look at this and that's literally a pyramid with grass on it and trees. Like there's no denying it. It's literally
so. There's going to be a reason that they want to cover them. Why would they want to cover them? Same as China. There's something that, in my opinion, because why wouldn't you? Like, look, there's a tourist attraction right there in Bosnia. I mean, you scrape that down to what's under there. You've got a huge moneymaker. Everybody wants to go see the Bosnian pyramid.
Let me tell you something straight up. Cutting the foliage or whatever off of this is nigh doable. It's all but purely impossible because look at it. These are all trees. This isn't grass. This isn't shrubbery or vegetation. These are like 100-foot tall trees or whatever.
I'm not saying it would be easy. I'm just saying.
And then look at the village. Like they don't even have telephone poles. Like this is a very pre-industrial village. And everyone's like, oh, he sensationalized it. And the thing is that, like, I don't know, man. Like I just read in so many places. Like, I actually do have that. This is also. Don't let me forget to show you that in a second. There it is. I'm going to read you this article about this man. In 2008, Discover profiled amateur archaeologist Sam Osmanagic, who claimed to have discovered the oldest and largest pyramids in the world. Located near the Bosnian city of Visoko and billed as the most monumental construction complex ever built on the face of the planet, the pyramids were allegedly made by a highly advanced civilization some 12,000 years ago. So then again, putting all these years in context is important because at the year 10,000, they didn't have pots or bowls. What little credibility he may have had then is gone now. 10 years later, Osmanagic makes even more outlandish claims. He says the largest pyramid is clad in concrete, superior to modern building materials, and sits over the most extensive underground network of tunnels ever discovered. This labyrinth purportedly features ceramic sculptures weighing several tons, the largest known in the ancient world. Osmanagic also says he knows why the Bosnian pyramids were built. He claims they are energy amplifiers capable of improving health and prolonging life, as well as communicating with torsion fields that travel much faster than the speed of light. Naturally, these remarkable feats could be achieved only by a society far ahead of our own. They knew energy sources and frequencies better than we do, and how clean and free energy can be produced. Quote, is what Osmanagic says. Experts, of course, don't buy it. All the finds being made by Osmanagic are either natural features like rocks or the result of long occupation in these valleys by people since the Greco-Roman period, says Boston University archaeologist Curtis Runnels. As for the supernatural powers he claims for these pyramids, one only has to note that Mr. And I hate this, so I don't, okay. As for the supernatural powers he claims for these pyramids, one only has to note that Mr. Osmanagic published a book claiming that the Maya came from the Pleiades constellation. So while Osmanagic hasn't discovered an ancient civilization with a secret to long life and free energy, he's found something arguably more valuable in the hills of Asoko. He's uncovered a mechanism for generating free publicity. So this is a very toxically pointed, article. I hate everything about it. I understand where these ha ha ha, he's crazy. He's like a spiritualist type of guy or whatever. I get that. But I mean, also look at this image. Hold on. I can just do this, by the way. You need to look at this image. And it's pretty blurry, but you can look at every hill and mountain surrounding the area.
Yeah.
Don't look like that.
Yeah, it kind of stands out.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like... Yeah, it's not there's not even really much plausible deniability. And especially after those ones in China, rather, that again, they're like, no, don't look. It's literally just a hill. It's just a hill. Which, I mean, this is such a low quality image, man. But let me try again. I've got another one around here somewhere.
Okay, but let me, I don't want to mess up your stuff.
Oh, you're fine.
I'm going to, and I want to show you something that, okay. Can you see this? Let me make this one bigger.
Yes.
Okay, hold on, let me find my little maker bigger thing. There we go, zoom. Okay, let me pull this down. Okay, do you see, this is Italy, right? And Rome,
yeah.
all this kind of stuff. You see where Croatia is, Bosnia Herzegovina are right here. So you had, you had Rome as the center of everything there for a while. But you look over here, Croatia is not that far. I say I don't have a map of the whole world, but still we're just south. I can't find another one. Crap. Well, anyway, we're just south of the Middle East.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I'm saying it's being that it's over there, just so people understand where Croatia, where Bosnia is. We're talking about, a more further, but not impossible from, civilization and the way that, things. Now I know Egypt is far away from there, but still. You see what I'm saying? Do y'all get my point? Rome was like the center of the universe there for a long time.
Yeah. Sorry, I was trying to organize my tabs because I had one last thing.
There's a Bosnian pyramid glamping situation.
The heck is glamping? Hey.
Oh, that's where you, it's like, you camp, but it's like a really cool, or you have a lot of amenities. Like you might be in a yurt, like a big yurt or something like that. It's glamping, it's camping, but
is that shorthand for yogurt?
No, it's like glamorous camping. Now when I camp, I love to camp, and I love to wilderness camp. And I love to string a hammock between two trees and sleep outside completely. That is my favorite way to camp. But you do need a campfire because you might be eaten if you don't have a fire burning all night. Just, FYI. But that's my favorite way. I would glamp, though. I could glamp. What's this?
Okay, so I was organizing. I'm not actually finished organizing everything yet. Okay, that's for the end. And that is for something I really wanted to get to, but I don't think anyone can stand me any longer. Fiddlesticks, okay. This is an image from all these documentaries and stuff and all these people talking about it. They would show this image. And so I did a reverse Google image search, and I found this page, and I got the name for what culture this was. So I was like, well, I'm curious. So I found it. I looked, there it is. This is the Vinca culture. There's Vinca there. And then I found out that Fesoto is like right next to it. So let's see, Vinca, Serbia, right there. And we'll do a little drop pin. And then I'm going to do Fesoto, which is right over this ways. Let's see. Nope, that's not it. That's Visato. That's like Italy. And then it's going to take me to... I did that last time too. My God. Okay, it's literally like here. They're like less than 60 miles from each other. Now, okay. I don't know if that is really like consequential or what. Obviously this doesn't look like the work of, 3 times higher quality, 18 million tons of, cement or whatever. But I found it interesting that there were eras of people who had access to some sort of decorative ability. And, they did have some sort of whatever.
These are like alien eyes.
Yeah. So, and then that's the thing too, is that like, who is this depicting? It's eerily half cat, half alien shaped. I don't know what people believe about cats. I don't know what people believe about aliens. I just know that those two things kind of show up a lot together, especially in reference to Egypt and all that.
They're the cat people, the Catalians.
Yes, it's just going to show me Siberia in general. That's not it. I'm so irritated. The last thing I was actually going to say, the thing that I wasn't, thing that I didn't have a chance to get to, I'm actually going to talk about it anyway because I think it's fascinating. I just got to pull it up here. So that last article that I showed was like, there's crazy claim. This isn't actually it, it's this. That last article I showed was like, there's crazy claims that the Mayas came from aliens and that the world couldn't have possibly been in this, so there's like a lot of talk about Atlantis. There's a guy named something Graham. I can't remember his first name, but he was talking about like the books that Plato wrote that specifically mentioned Atlantis being in a particular area, like off the coast of all these, all these places and stuff. And people are like, that's impossible with an ice age. And he was just being, symbolic and all that. And then I found that, and this is actually a very recent study completed, relatively speaking, to the time that all these debates and stuff was coming around. And this literally, which I could go into depth, but it literally just proved that the Earth's poles did move by some 800 miles, which is pretty significant. If you look, that's the difference between Dallas and Chicago, Atlanta, Georgia, and Cuba. That's 2 Hawaiis, which I don't know if you're aware of that. And that's also 2/3 of 1 Japan. Oop, whoa, Earth, why are you spinning on me? Which means, okay. Or I don't know, even more than 2/3 of 1 Japan, honestly. And then the original calculation is like this. Show it to me. Yeah. So the Earth's poles moved by 740 some odd miles, something like that. Which means that that's not only one reason the Ice Age could have come, is that a completely different portion of the Earth, say, we're upside down.
I know, I feel the blood rush into my head.
Greenland, for example, that's one reason that Greenland could have become not so green. But it was in this area roughly, I want to say, can't actually, so I didn't get a chance to like sit down and make notes and read it in length and stuff. This is one of the things I wanted to put together because, you know, again, like I said, there's three camps. There's people who refuse to believe anything that seems even slightly nonsensical. There are people who are willing to believe anything that seems slightly nonsensical. And then there are people in the middle who are like, okay, yeah, like that's crazy. Like, it, you know, whatever you're talking about, like, you know, aliens sucking our energy out or whatever. But this is really weird that, you know, Egypt and, where's that other place? I didn't make markers for it. They're like, not the actual other side of the world, but like thousands and thousands and thousands of miles apart and cultural differences and an ocean and all this. And they're both like, hey, what if we took like a 200-year-long project, built 3 pyramids and just happened to align it with one of the not even the most notable of the constellations in the like of all the constellations, like, you know, like if it were like if you were going to say it was like a cultural, like it just humans be human in, you know, all over the place, you would say like they would pick something that was the brightest or the like that was directional or something. They picked 3 stars that were only ever brought up in religion and historical texts and cultural contexts as the time that aliens came and taught me stuff. And I built a pyramid, or before or after most of the time, with China, Egypt, and Teotihuacan, or Tucan, or God, I'm so white. Sorry about that.
The Hootie Cootians.
Teo, I'm not even gonna try it anymore. It's embarrassing at this point. I've read that word so many times, and the researchers who say these names, they say it like so quickly, like it just rolls off the tongue, like they don't even have to think about it. And then I'm like, yeah, I read the word and I said it once, I can do that. And then I'm accidentally super racist and like I should be like taken away in cuffs or something. But anyway, that's my dissertation. I just wanted to, you know, I've been sitting down, you know, looking at this all day, and I was just, you know, like there's something to it, like, you know, and I've seen theories about, you know, ley lines and pyramids connecting, you know, humans together and energy and all this stuff. But you know, when you really sit down and you like really weed through the crazy prophet types and the cultural, like the people who want to make a buck and all that, and you sort through that and you sort through the overwhelming unbelief of people who just want a straightforward, measurable answer, and you find a middle ground somewhere, that middle ground even then is super unsettling, like to an undeniable degree. There is something bizarre was going on, and there are definitely powers at play that we do not study, that we do not implement, that we do not understand, and that we refuse to acknowledge in any sense, going so far as to openly mock someone who, you know, even if they did want some cultural recognition for their impoverished country, I mean, said some things that a lot of other people have said and been able to corroborate. So I don't know, you know, I guess you can always be like, you know, hey, what do people gain from hiding the truth as opposed to what do people gain from lying and writing a book about it? But I think people stand to gain from both of those things.
Well, I mean, I certainly learned a lot, and honestly, the more I look at it, you know, of course, I'm reading the comments, and I'm using my own bungled brain of sorts. You know, I'm looking at it as the pyramids and ley lines, and I'm looking at it as the combination of physical and metaphysical coming together.
Yeah.
And to me, it looks like a huge motherboard. I mean, it really does. Because we don't understand, but it looks like a form of communication almost. When you look at all these shapes and you look at the barcodes over there in China and all this stuff, it's like, you know what? This just looks too much for it to be ancient, it looks too much like modern technology. You see what I'm saying? I mean, it
The
you know,
overall layout and stuff. I will say that, like, while I don't agree with you at all at that specific point, as far as saying like it's a motherboard, I will actually double agree with you in the sense that this was far beyond what they should have been able to accomplish with what we perceive their observable knowledge should have been, such as the movement of the planets in the solar system, the choices of multiple cultures picking Orion's belt, the stories from eras and cultures that would have never interacted with each other, having the same story, about aliens or like, some godlike extraterrestrial being. Also, unrelated, this is the only time in my life I've ever gotten to hear a term thrown around that it's so hilarious that I couldn't believe that they doubled down on it every time, and it was ancient astronaut theorists, which
ancient
is
astronaut theorists. Okay.
I
Is that
would
what
I would
they're saying? Like the aliens are ancient astronauts? Is that what
yeah.
that's referring to? Okay.
So all these group, like, see, and that's another thing that bothers me is a sensationalist BS that's just used to spin a narrative. They came up with this crazy term, and they would just throw it out flippantly, so often. So every time they're like, ancient astronaut theorists theorize that the top of the pyramids were for like shooting a laser beam into space like an anti-aircraft weapon. It's like this is always, which they didn't say that, but it was always some crazy stuff,
Okay.
but
But let me do say this, okay? And I know you didn't want to bring religion into this episode, but at the end of the day, when you've done all this, I believe is it Proverbs? Y'all, somebody in chat will know. I think it's Proverbs that says that where God says there is nothing new under the sun. Like nothing. Nothing new. If there's nothing new, then we're just, we're kind of spinning our wheels. Like we have all this technology. We don't know what happened. Maybe there was some, very advanced civilizations here before, but it's before our history started. Like we don't really know. And, so what happened, it went extinct just like the dinosaurs. Something happened. And, so then we had to start, and we're all just farming again and we're living in, mud huts until we figure out how to make bricks and, cement and, you know what I'm
and then
saying?
some doofus named Newton comes along and like landlocks us into a very particular mode of thinking. I like the idea that the flood that it talked about literally washed all of the technology to the bottom of the sea. But then there are places that were buried that are like, ancient technology from a time that we can like draw on a map, it's difficult to think because, I guess the thing is because I also studied a lot of people who said that like, well, actually there was a civilization before us that was so far advanced and all this, but all of his claims were ridiculous and everything he said was ridiculous. And above all that, no technology of this kind was ever found. However, if you look at it from a different perspective and say that there were some extraterrestrial whatever, because they're like, you go far enough down the rabbit hole, they start talking about like Nordic type aliens and then the Sirius aliens that are like traditional, like they show up as like god beings.
They had
And
no
then
sense of humor. They were serious.
They were very straight faced people.
But no, I mean that would line up though. Here's the thing. I believe this is just my belief, but I believe at the end of the day, in spite of our misunderstanding a lot of things, I believe that science and the Bible do and will line up. We just don't understand how that happens, and I go back to that text that says there's nothing new under the sun. So if there's nothing new, then it is very easy for me to believe in ancient, advanced technical things. Like, maybe they had more sense than we do, brain. And instead of, making things out of, Ecclesiastes. Thank you. Yeah, somehow I knew that was wrong, but I can't. I know my brain is about fried too. Ecclesiastes 9:11. Thank you, Carol. But that's the thing. Um, you know, it, I kind of lost my train of thought there too. But maybe they were smarter. That's what it was than us, and they didn't build their technology out of products like plastic that are going to harm the earth. Maybe they were so advanced they did things in a different way using more natural materials, so that when the flood came, whatever, which we know from, like, you can believe in the ark, and all that kind of stuff. That's your choice. But we do know that there was a huge flood that covered the earth. Scientifically, we know that. So if they made their materials differently to be more eco-friendly, because we're dumb and, we do things, the really crappy way, maybe that's what happened. It's, did the poles flip? They've said the poles flip. As a matter of fact, y'all, and I found this quite concerning, like really concerning. It's been somewhere in the last week and a half. I was watching something on the news, some kind of reputable channel that talked about the potential of our poles flipping or even halfway flipping within the very near future. And I'm like, dear Jesus, if the poles flip, then you can forget technology. All your computer stuff, it's going to be non-existent. And that's basically what they were saying in this news report. If this happens, we're going to be back to paper and, farms. And so what if you had a situation where the poles flipped and the earth was flooded and they were using more sustainable materials? It's a big mess. It's a big mess. Nothing works. And you are back for thousands of years, Well, let me figure out how to plant spinach now.
If someone, so there's a lot of things that you can say to poke holes in a lot of that. I will say that it is entirely possible that this is a bit of a thought process, but if you, at the beginning of the age of humans, when everything was more natural, and say the earth was more fresh and vibrant, if spiritual science, and I don't mean like chakras necessarily or like, meditation. I mean like spiritual science in the way that, your body is a conduit of power or of some ability or something like that. If that is true and the earth was more fertile of that type of energy, and as you began to imagine, I guess, if you grew up in a world where, spiritual things, religious things that you believed came to pass, and it didn't matter what filter or tint you put over it, that was something that resonated with you, and you wouldn't feel so drawn to external material applications that you would apply from the exterior to yourself or use externally, right? Like cars, phones, watches, braces, I guess. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like we wouldn't you would be so much more inclined to be in tune and harness and use that natural energy. And therefore, again, as well, we've seen ways that these massive stones could have been moved. And we see ways that, and I don't know, does it make you a stronger physically person? I don't know. I don't know the depth of what the human spirit theoretically could actually, what kind of cause that effect that can have on you. I'll say that as I've lived, I've seen that, as I believe it to be, that people often externally tend to represent who they are internally. And I don't mean necessarily behavior or treatment of others. I mean, like, often their physical, even their physical appearance, but their like well-being, their virality or whatever, like their overall strength and power and tenacity, willpower, anything, typically seems to tend to be in line with, you know, who they are on the inside. And if you could take that from where I've observed that in my life and take that to an extreme degree, where these religious, spiritual, whatever, you know, metaphysical abilities were easier to harness, or you could walk in them more easily, who literally knows what you could have under your control? And if any of that were true, then the required existence of things like fuses and microtransmitters and all this, it would never have become invented, because it would have never been needed necessarily. You know, I don't know. And so you can say that, you know, all these were washed away, and that with it, you know, and if you can say, I'll say this too, this is an interesting thought. If the spiritual body has to do with the energy of the earth or in the air, and if that energy can be affected by auras or emotions, or, you know, even like vague spirit type like existences over areas, you could then also say, again, all incredibly hypothetical, that if there were a flood that did kill everybody, that the new kind of spirit of death or destruction, sorrow, loss, just the overall state of energy on the earth could have been significantly either reduced or drawn from or whatever. And that, you know, again, it's a thought process, as you could say, that this new age of people did not grow up in a world where that was so much more understandable or prevalent or noticeable or effective. And so we lead now into a more like what we call a scientific era. But I think the original, you know, split between like church and science is just nonsense, because it does meet somewhere in the middle. Because, you know, all I know for sure is that humans, historically, everywhere they've ever been, in every culture, have developed a religion, and that at the end of the day, some form of that must be true. And if that is the case, then at a point where science can catch up the other side of it and find a way to measure these truths, then at that point you'll begin to form the completed circle that was originally a split between church and science and all that.
And the physical, you know, and the metaphysical. I mean, but and that's the thing. I guess that's the problem. And you know, in some ways, I'm very scientific, being in healthcare, and even just what I study. I like history. I like to know facts. On the other hand, that's like this half of me. But the other half of me is like, okay, I know there is a big spiritual factor inherent. Like you said, every culture has always had a religion of some sort, always worshiped something. So inherently, we know that there is a spirit component to our bodies. And then when you just take the scientific and you're like, okay, I'm just looking at facts, but I have no spirit, it doesn't seem to line up. But if you can marry the two things, which potentially is what happened with these ancient beings. What was that? Astronaut theorists?
Ancient astronaut theorists.
You know, maybe that was, you know, somehow. And again, to me, I know we disagree, but it's just like, it's just looking at me in the face when I look at all this stuff, and I'm like, this looks like a big computer board, the earth, and you just have to add the energy, the power switch, you know, the electricity to connect these things to make them work. It's like, you know, when your computer battery dies, that's it. There's nothing.
And to that point, I did agree. I guess what I didn't agree on was like, you know, the moment where you saw like vague imagery of like green, gold, and squares and lines, and you said that's like a motherboard. I'm like, think harder. You know what I mean? But
Well,
outside
I
of
mean,
that, we do essentially agree. And
I mean, I'm talking about the pyramids, but I'm like even down to the little fields in China, the way it looks. I mean, if you're this far up, like you said, they couldn't see from the air what they were building, if indeed they did not have any ancient astronaut helpers.
that
They couldn't see
really
it.
makes me think about a picture I saw the other day. It was a dude in a plane for obviously the very first time. He leans out, takes a picture of all the ground that he can see. And you know how civilization is broken up into districts and blocks. Even rural areas, it's all squares of property lines and
Right.
stuff like that. And this man is like, oh my God, look at all the states. So I really try to be careful not to go one
Yeah,
side.
but okay. Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but I'm just saying it looks reminiscent of the same thing as a motherboard. But when you definitely take, I think the one thing that did it for me is when you were talking about where they go, some Blecky Tepes, the Tepians, and the ancient civilizations, the pyramids on this side of the world, and the same thing mirrored on the other side of the world. It's like, okay, somehow this, like, how do you get the same thing in ancient civilizations who do not know each other, and they've put all this work into building the same structures, and then you've got pyramid here and a pyramid there? It's like, come on, this has got to, you know it just seems like it's so, people are still not really sure 100%. There's theories on how they got the pyramids built and all these structures, but it just seems like you have to have a physical component, just like your computer. You have to have a physical component, but you have to have the electricity with it to make it work, and the program that, to run the program. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
And Michelle said something like, but Silky, the energy is still here. So why did the power get cut off
Because we don't know how to
from
use
those
it.
things?
We don't know how to use it anymore.
Yeah. So I don't think, which at first I thought that you were talking about like energy was coming this way. But yeah, I mean, no, simply put, we, I mean, look at China. They painted it a different color and they said, don't look under the grass,
I mean, yeah, see,
Um,
there's a reason that they want this stuff covered because, again, why wouldn't you want to show it off?
yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to have like a little
Teo
restaurant close by?
Teotihuacan, by the way.
You want to have it a tourist attraction. You need a restaurant. You need a gift shop. You need tour buses. That's income. Like, why do you want to hide this? That just makes no sense to me.
Yeah. 200C. Okay, I gotta find out. How far away is Mexico from Egypt?
It's a long way. It's across the Atlantic. Yeah, it's
I'll tell you what.
across the
I'll
Atlantic.
get
I don't know
directions.
how many miles. Go Google Earth. Get some directions. But yeah, it's like, and I feel like this too, and it's what somebody said, like an hour or so ago, and I meant to highlight. I think I did highlight it, but I don't think it was energy going across. I think it's all underground. Ley lines are a real thing, whether you're looking at the metaphysical or just, energy sources. I don't think that it's like we do our power grids from telephone poles. We do it above the ground. But I think that these ancient civilizations used it under the ground or on the ground. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't in the air.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And you could say several different
Tartaria? No, Michelle, I have not. I don't know what that is. Tartaria. But I mean, it's a
There's something
very
else I was going to
interesting.
say, but I can't remember. I wanted to say, it's gone. It was important too. It was important.
I'm sorry. Maybe you'll think of it again. Was it talking about power grids or anything like that?
No, it had to do with the thought process of like I was making all these grand assumptions, all these grand assumptions about what people could do or could not do and all that, and I was going to say something. It's gone. It was gone.
Why did you want to know how far Mexico was from Egypt?
Oh, because those are the two locations that. Here, hold on. I'll show you. Those are the two locations of those pyramids that were built identically, where you had Egypt build them in the exact layout of the Orion's belt, and then, albeit probably a few thousand years later, I'll be honest, yes, because these were built in like 200 BC. These were purportedly built. Actually, I'll be honest and I'll be real. Nobody knows when the pyramids were built, like at all. Like nobody even knows a little bit when the pyramids were built. But because now we've got 9,000, like year 9,000 non-carbon, but what is the climate dating? But then we have how long were the pyramids around? And then, they have an idea of when they were around, sure. But were they built before? Were they built by the people who who knows? I mean, I don't know. Let's say 4,500, I guess. And so it's like 4,000 years, difference, but I don't know. The dude built pyramids over here, and then word travel, and then someone is all the way over in Mexico for some reason, and then does it again. I bet if I look at the Earth, I mean that's around the whole Earth, ain't it? Like that's the whole it's the whole thing, ain't it? That's the whole half the world. Hold on. That's the whole. Okay, there's Mexico. Oh, that's too far.
Yeah.
Whoa. And then, there's Egypt over there.
Okay.
So someone built the pyramids over there, and then 4,000 years later, they went and built them over here, and they did the exact same thing.
Okay, then we have pyramids in, and then we have pyramids in Bosnia, and where else? Like, we got them in Egypt, in Bosnia. I've never heard of a Bosnian.
Egypt, and then Bosnia, which is here somewhere.
Oh, and then you've got one in China. So that's going to be to your...
Oh, no, in China we had 37. In the... Show me some names or something. It was on one of the coastal
I'm trying to get
areas.
around the world, is what I'm doing.
Okay, well, oops.
I mean, I'm trying to place... Now, I didn't even know there was one in Bosnia, and I didn't know there was one in China that they covered up. So where are some of these other ones? No, they covered up 3 of them or more. They covered up, there were 37 that they found in China that they covered up. I mean, but I'm looking at, I'm trying to go around the world as far as connecting. I want to know, can you connect the whole world with pyramids?
Oh, yeah, you can. Yeah, you can. So there's several built in China. I believe there was word that there was some built in Russia as well. I can't get the map to cooperate with me as far as size. I don't know about this area. I don't know if there are pyramids here. And I don't know if there are pyramids here either. There's some, I can't really drop a pen or draw, but Russia and lots in China, and I can't remember where else I've seen them. I think Japan might have been involved. Of course, we have them here, and I don't think we have any in Botswana or anything like that. I want to say that there are some in this area. There's a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah, Lower South America.
Oh yeah, I was making it over there. Yeah, there were a lot in India, like a lot of them in India, because that's roughly apparently where the Fertile Crescent was. There's lots of them in. South America has hundreds of thousands of pyramids just all over.
The only pyramid that I know that we
has
have
several. America actually, I think America had some of the most. Unless they counted South America, then I guess it doesn't.
The only we don't have any pyramid. The only pyramid I know is the one they built in Memphis, which is not a real pyramid, but it is a pyramid.
Yeah, I mean, we have. They call them mounds for the most part, like the Cahokia Mounds.
Yeah, but they don't look like pyramid. I mean, did something happen?
Well, I don't know for what reason exactly.
Fall off?
Canada apparently.
Oh, Canada
well,
has
no,
what?
Central America. Yeah, I forgot about these. And then Canada has some apparently.
I'm trying to make a circle, or connect the whole world, and I'm trying to so from China, and then because on the far side of the U.S. you've got Alaska, and then it goes right into Russia.
I am pretty positive that there are some built in Alaska. I can't remember. There's another problem that we have with pyramids is that a lot of them have been covered up intentionally. I'm not just talking about China. There are some in Antarctica that if you go near them, the government will murder you. And I don't know where they are.
Okay. Okay. So
of course, they're mostly buried by snow, but
But here's the thing, Brain. If everybody is covering up these pyramids, then there is a reason. Why are they covering up the pyramids?
I mean, I know what you're saying.
That is bizarre. Why cover up something like that? I mean, is the maintenance just too high on it to keep the grass, mowed off? But seriously, why would you cover a pyramid?
There's not really even any maintenance that goes into a pyramid, depending on the type.
I mean,
The ones in Egypt would still be almost identical to the. So, have you actually seen the pyramids, what they look like in Egypt when they were new?
When they were new? We don't know when they were built. How do we know when they were new?
No, that's the wrong one. Verbiage. No, before they got sand blasted and before they looked like this, they looked like something else.
Well, that is true. I forgot about the Panagia, but now that you would think that they would, even in that, they would have it. You should be able to follow a connection. I bet you can. And maybe there are pyramids we don't know about. Well, I'm sure the geologists or the, people, I'm sure somebody knows.
Why is every image that I get low quality and tiny? This is very blurry, but did you know this is what the pyramids looked like when they were built?
No, why? Why they? Oh, just because the sand just colored them?
No. The and they would still look like this too. Hold on. What is that image? That's crazy. Yeah, so they would build these and they would look like this. And that's what made Egypt such a apparently powerful, beautiful, etc. But this is all limestone capping on the and then they would adorn the top with gold. And what happened over many years is that all the tombs that these were built for, they would develop essentially in areas like, oh my God, please can I just move the thing? there are several districts like this for housing explicitly, like residential, that were, and they're here and like off to the sides and stuff. They were housing cults of the previous emperors because they believed that if those guys, if they all prayed or whatever for the emperor, that when he died, you know, he could become Orion or something like, you know, something beautiful as far as like capturing Orion's energy or something of the sort. And these cults would literally last for decades and decades after the emperor died. And then it would eventually fall out of practice. And then these guys, they would leave or they would all die. And then a new group would show up because, again, if you look, Egypt is pretty busy. I mean, there were lots of surrounding areas, especially back when it was more green, because you can see there's green there, but like this whole area used to be very green. And so people would just move in and because everyone else would be gone. And then they'd be like, the government at the time would be like, you know, we need to repair these houses that we're living in. And so piece by piece, everyone just took all this beautiful white capping that was protecting the stones, took it off, and used it to cover their houses. And now what we're left with is this, the underbelly and the erosion and all that, which is really, really sad because this image is so amazing to me. Oh, also, there's a lot of mythology type beat information about the pyramid being the most holy symbol imaginable. Not only is it it's like the most stable structure possibly created, right? Like there's no weakness. The idea was that from the four corners of the earth, everything met and reached one origin point, or where one creator started everything, or one god, or whatever. That the pyramid was a symbol of creation in a way, but also a symbol of divine power. And I don't know how much the Egyptians subscribed to that, but I do love that at this tip was what at the time for them was the most pure form of adonishment or whatever it was. It was gold, a gold tip.
Yeah.
And I just think that's beautiful. And I told you before, if I become a millionaire, I would love to build a pyramid in my in the yard or something like that. Because of that. And if it's true what they say about the energy and all that, positive energy and all that.
Someone would
really
say,
cool.
well, there's several things. Lara, I don't know if it's Laura, has been talking about quartz being in the building materials, and it occurs naturally in the pyramid structures. And of course, quartz and crystals, which, people who are really into metaphysics or into spiritualism, not Christianity, but they, how crystals are all rocks. And I mean, is there energy from rocks? Absolutely. Absolutely. But somebody was saying, where is it? Somebody said Michelle said there's still an energy field you can measure above the pyramids. So imagine what it was like when it was new. Yeah.
Yeah.
Lara, hey, you know what, Lara? I love the movie Dr. Zhivago. I love the musical score. Like, since I was a small kid, I have loved the music of that movie. Lara, okay, I got it. I got it. Um, okay.
Sorry.
No, I was reading the comments too. But yeah, I mean, Crystal is a conductor of things, and
Laura's in Croft. That's Laura, boss.
Lara.
No, it's Laura. Laura Croft.
Lara. Isn't it Lara in Dr. Zhivago? It's not Laura. I know it's not in Dr. Zhivago.
That's crazy, man. It'd be like, yeah, it's pronounced Laura, as in Lara or Laura.
Lara.
Thank you for that information.
Oh, Lara's theme. It's Lara's theme. Um, yeah,
It ain't Lara Croft now. That ain't making sense.
I thought it was Lara Croft.
No, no, no.
It's Lara and Dr. Zhivago. But it's funny because my parents, I think, I was about 6 years old, and we still had the the old turnstile, record players.
Textile. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's a band I like.
But anyway, they bought me the album. It was some holiday or something. They bought me the whole soundtrack to Dr. Zhivago, and I was too little to play it. But later on in life, my dad taught me to play Lara's theme. One of my favorite songs ever, ever, ever.
How's it go? Sing it.
I don't know the
Ba, ba,
words.
bum, bum,
I
ba, bum,
only
ba,
know
bum.
it's called the other name for Lara's theme is called "Somewhere My Love," and that's about the only words.
Somewhere, my love.
You're actually not too far off of how it goes.
Well, that's over the rainbow. So
Well, it's not that one, but the notes weren't that far off on how that goes. But anyway, yeah. So what did we learn? We live in a computer simulation. We're on a grid. We've got energy. We've got lots of questions. We've learned about ancient astronaut ancient astronaut somethings.
honestly, if I had the willpower, I could. You got to remember, though, I sat here, like I said, 12 hours or more, just opening tabs and reading paragraphs while a video was playing over here, and then rewinding it because I thought I heard something that was interesting, and then I would cross-reference that, and I would take imagery from there, and I would find where the originator of the imagery came from, and I would Google the names of everyone that I was listening to and get information on their background and their story, and that led me down other rabbit holes about books that were written about different prophecies or people talking about eras when the pole shifts, and then that got me into the scientific study of how the Earth is actually an oblate spheroid and not actually a sphere, and how it's possible for the poles to shift, but it would be very difficult for it to do something too dramatic unless certain conditions were met, and it just on and on and on. And I really don't see most of the stuff I had already known from back in the day. I just recompiled it, and then I deleted my notes by accident. So essentially, I wasted my time all day and then very poorly tried to communicate a very fascinating idea that is outlandish.
Okay, but just next time, to save your brain from being in such a bungle, take one part, one theme, get that down, present that, then you can, if you have the energy, do a side theme here and there. We talked about Lara. We talked about the Georgia Guidestones. We touched not very much on Stonehenge, the European one, but I do not know about some of the other stuff that you're talking about. I'm sure we will get there. When Brain Bungle and I talk, it's usually about this kind of stuff, or perhaps it could be about cryptids or missing 411 or whatever. But yeah, it was quite interesting, Brain Bungle. I think for me, it was the thought. Okay, I've watched documentaries on pyramids and stuff throughout the years, but it was the way that you were showing it across the earth and comparing them. It never made. It's like the pyramids were the pyramids. Okay, that was just a thing in Egypt. I mean, I knew there was some other structures like in South America and stuff, but it didn't make any sense, or it didn't look like it could connect until we were looking at all the different building shapes, clearly, as you said, built when they would never be able to see them from the sky, but having these perfect forms. It does make me think that there is a connection and that there was a purpose. Whether we are in a giant simulation, as someone suggested, you know what? I don't even have a problem with that. Even spiritually, I don't have a problem with that. You know, that's a whole nother story. Are we in a simulation? Are we? Is this a motherboard? Are we just one of the, or are we just like one of the components of the universe? That's part of the motherboard. I don't know, but it
I think
definitely.
the best way to move forward from a conversation like that, though, is to assume that you're just a component, because that will give you the gift of humility, which will propel you positively forward, I think. And, whoa, I just forgot.
Yeah.
I was about to say something and it just left me.
I think both of our brains are bungled right now, but it's been a very interesting conversation. And yeah, we'll have to see, now that I know what this subject is, I can be on the lookout for some of this other stuff. And I don't even mind exploring people's theories. I think the biggest takeaway that I have, besides, the grid looking thing, is I now am extremely curious as to why you would want to hide a pyramid, why you would want to cover it, why the Chinese government, you can't go around there, why in Alaska, if you go by there like that, you'll be shot. Like, this is now my question. Why? There's got to be some kind of big reason. All right. The government lets our harm ourselves all the time, so I'm like, why?
If you ever ask them, they just tell you it's like, to prevent looting and stuff.
Because how are you going to loot a pyramid? But I mean, I guess
they were buried with treasures. What do you mean? And then you sell them to oh my god. I think the thing that's so frustrating, or primarily, and something I didn't mention about the pyramids in Egypt either, but they were also built to be appealing from an elevated location. One of them even having very, so you know how like on this image that was just shown that, every face is flat and it builds a pyramid like this. But one of the pyramids actually has a, I don't know, I call it like a divot. It goes down the center like this, that actually makes each face, instead of like a straight triangle, whatever. I wish I had an image for it because I can't explain it well.
No, I can imagine what you're saying though.
Let me pull up Microsoft Paint. That never fails. Let's see here, Paint. I'll show you the shape I'm talking about. So it's literally just okay. So instead of this shape that you see, it's like looking at it from a profile view. You see like how do I explain it? It's like this, but then this one does it like that too. I can't draw like at all. Like, my God, I'm actually incapable. So the pyramid is like shaped like this, but then there's like a line that goes right up the middle of it, and it folds it where the profile view of it does, like each face has like this shape to it, like this kind of thing. You know what? This is a terrible idea.
No, I know what you're talking about. No, I could imagine that. I can imagine it. Yeah.
It goes in, instead of being like flat, it does this. It goes in. And then you see it from the top and it goes in and it does it on every face and you're like, wow, that looks like a wonton or something. But it's like has like a particular and the same way with the dome, not the dome, but it's like, there's a pyramid out there that instead of like, straight up, it has like a sharp, like, instead of going like, regular pyramid, it does like this and then it like curves up, but like at a very particular point. And that researcher I was talking about, that's the one that he entered in that had a very severe negative energy, or whatever.
Hey, no, that's what can I say?
I know everybody is probably getting tired. I know we are tired, but Bungler, Brain Bungler, does not have anything up on his YouTube channel at the moment. You are welcome to use anything that we've done, and just snatch it. But yeah.
Yeah, I would like to make a YouTube
go
channel at
ahead.
some point,
Yeah.
but
to go
there's-
live, you have to have so many subscribers. I think. So you're gonna have to anyway. You can subscribe to Brain Bungler. He does not have any stuff up, but he will in the future. So there you go. You can be
one
bungled.
of these days.
You can have your brain bungled at any time. All right, I'm gonna say goodbye. Thanks for all of y'all who hung in there. And what are you doing, Bungle? What are you doing? You don't look like that.
You know, just being I'm just hanging out. I'm just chilling.
All right.
I'll put up an image. Anyway, yeah, sorry.
All right. Well, good night, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. And it's just at, he said, drop a link. I don't even have a link typed up. It's just at Brain Bungler on YouTube, right?
Yes, sir. Just Brain Bungler on YouTube, I do believe. I'll because it was Brain Bungle at one point, but let me double check, make sure, because it made more sense for it to be that way. Yeah, Brain Bungler on YouTube, and I'll do some content one of these days. But there's only so many things that I'm interested in that I would like to talk about, and then most of that stuff is ridiculous to most people, so it's like catch-22 kind of situation. But I should do it.
If you like true ghost stories, I read them on my other channel, submitted by subscribers at Avalon Cottage. And that's all I got to say about that. Let me hide that one. And otherwise, I'm going to say good night. Thanks, Bungler, for being here. And thank you all for hanging out. I will see you next time. Whatever you do, stay silky. Bye-bye.
Bye.